Warrior Lore. Chapter 2000. Chi La La. Blood splattered high above the ferocious dragon head of the Yintian region master, and the terrifying aura around him was instantly annihilated. The Yintian region master's pupils constricted, and the corners of his eyes widened. He seemed to want to say something, but no words came out. In the end, the huge fiery dragon body fell from the sky like a bird with broken wings. Rumble. The dragon body fell, and the earth shook. The dragon body broke apart, lying in the barren mountain range. The surroundings were silent. Everyone was dumbfounded, and their eyes widened as they looked at the fairy-like woman in disbelief. Such a woman, like a fairy from a painting, like a fairy from a spiritual mountain, had killed the terrifying domain lord of Yintian with just a wave of her hand. The entire void seemed to have stopped, and it was exceptionally quiet. This scene was too shocking. Killing the Yintian region master with a single arrow. What kind of strength was this? The fairy-like woman had killed such an expert in the blink of an eye, and the most shocking thing was that her expression did not change at all. I didn't expect her to have reached such a level. Zhou Xiaoluo of the Nong family, Imo Runan of the Imo family, and the others were also shocked at this moment. If they were facing the Yintian region master, they knew that their chances of winning would not be more than 30%, let alone killing him with a single arrow. Killing with a single arrow was a kind of suppression, and only when one was much stronger than the former could it cause such a suppression. Although he is a fool, he is definitely not someone you can kill as you wish. Du Xiaofu, you will pay the price for everything you have done. As the Yintian region master fell, such a voice spread out like a dragon's roar. It was calm with a coldness that could be felt by anyone, and it resounded in the void like a clap of thunder. The sound waves spread out from the abyss, and it shook the surroundings. Such a voice also made everyone quiet out of fear. Everyone knew that it was Long Yi who had spoken. Rumble, 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 rumble. As Long Yi's voice fell, 5 auras soared into the sky from the 5 enormous mountains of bones. 5 figures flew up into the void, and there was a faint trace of mystery between them. The dragon scale armor on the 5 figures was shining, and there seemed to be the shadow of a dragon entrenched in the air. It's the 5 dragon guards. The 5 terrifying auras were enough to make the experts of the major forces in the surroundings change their expressions. The 5 auras shot up into the sky, and Du Xiaofu, but he did not even look at them. Instead, he looked at Dongli Qingqing beside him and smiled, and said softly, "It's enough for me. Me. I couldn't. I will, and I will not next time." Dongli Yizes and the dragon guards were the Een to God Yantis, and he, Ninzas is that? Long S is to Eens is Yas Nilu S's, uses is NNN, then, I will go and kill that big worm. Du Xiaofu turned his head and looked at the 5 figures in the void in front of him. A faint golden light flashed in his clear eyes, and he looked at the abyss and said, "Do you think you can keep your life by relying on the 5 of them?" His voice reverberated, and there was an invisible fierceness and dominance in his calm voice. Overbearing as always. Du Xiaofu's words showed that he did not put Long Yi in his eyes. It was obvious that he wanted to kill Long Yi today, which shocked everyone. "I can kill you, but you don't have the qualifications to be so arrogant in front of me. Not everyone has the qualifications to attack me. If you can get past the 5 dragon guards, then I will give you this honor today. Perhaps you can die with dignity." Behind the abyss, Long Yi's voice was like a dragon's roar, and he responded to Du Xiaofu, "If you can't even get past the 5 dragon guards, then your end will be very miserable. Since you want to find a few more to die with you, I don't mind." Du Xiaofu took a step forward as he looked at the 5 figures in the air. Golden profound chi surged under his feet as he crossed the void and moved forward. 5 dragon sword formation. When they saw that Du Xiaofu did not even look at them, the eyes of the 5 figures quietly turned gloomy. A chilling aura shot out as the 5 of them roared furiously in unison. In an instant, 5 energy light pillars surged out from the 5 of them. Finally, they merged with each other and swiftly formed a 5-man combined attack formation. Rumble. The light of the formation enveloped the surrounding void and distorted space. A terrifying pressure faintly seeped out from it, and it caused the expressions of the top experts present to change. The five-dragon sword formation originates from the ancient times. The five dragon guards are all near the peak of the Overlord realm. When they form the formation, their strength will increase explosively. When the five of them formed the formation, the old man who led the school of agriculture frowned. If he had encountered the five dragon guards a few days ago, he would have had to fight a fierce battle. He might not even have had much of a chance of winning. Bang! The five of them formed the formation. In an instant, they each held a simple ancient sword in their hands. Sword light shot into the sky as the sword rumbled. The sword runes seemed to be covered in dragon scales, and a dragon's roar seemed to resound. A vast aura accompanied by a dragon's might swept out in all directions. The five-dragon sword, a treasure of the dragons. It's rumored that a dragon expert secretly refined it from the dragon bones of the experts in the clan. In the end, he was severely punished by the clan, but the five-dragon sword is just too extraordinary. When the five swords are combined, it's said that it's comparable to a saint artifact. The beautiful woman from the Mo clan could not help but speak when the five ancient swords appeared. These five swords are not bad. Du Xiaofu also looked at the five ancient swords. Just a single one of them was on a par with the heavenly dragon barrier that he had obtained in the past. At this moment, the awakened heavenly tower in Du Xiaofu's watchtower seemed to have sensed the presence of the five-dragon sword, so it leapt up secretly. If Du Xiaofu had not stopped it, it probably would have charged out of the watchtower long ago. The sword formation is not bad as well. It's just a pity that it's a little weak, Du Xiaofu said again. As he spoke, he continued to look at the five of them. He did not even stop as he slowly made his way through the air. Du Xiaofu's pace was slow and calm, but it carried with it an aura that made all living beings revere him. In response to Du Xiaofu's words, the five dragon guards' face turned gloomy. As he looked at the approaching figure, his gaze became colder and colder. He continuously formed hand seals, and the sword light in his hand flashed. It affected the energy of heaven and earth in the void, causing wind and thunder to roar in all directions. The void rumbled and trembled as countless mysterious talisman runes condensed from the distorted formation in the void. Ao, 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 ao. Finally, on the five dragon guards' five-dragon sword, five enormous dragon phantoms soared into the sky. The dragon's roar resounded, and the dragons might fill the air. Chapter 2001. Five Dragons' Heaven-Cleaving Sword. The five dragon guards shouted in unison. Their swords condensed, and the five figures quickly formed a straight line in the void. The five dragon silhouettes quickly merged, and an earth-shaking dragon roar immediately resounded in this ancient and desolate world. Roar! As the dragon's roar rang out, an enormous dragon silhouette appeared. It was like a sword or a dragon as it stretched across the sky. It was many times larger than the domain lord of flaming heaven, and it appeared before everyone's shocked gazes. Goo goo! At the sight of the dragon-like and sword-like shadow, everyone gasped and their souls trembled. How many people under the Saint Realm can resist such an attack and the five-dragon sword? In the farmer's house, the old man was shocked to the point that he was a little dazed. The combined strength of the five dragon guards completely exceeded his expectations. He couldn't help but gasp for Du Xiaofu. Kill! In the sky, the dragon sword-like sword light swept towards Du Xiaofu at the same time. Wherever such a terrifying sword passed, the space suddenly exploded with a rumble, and a pitch-black vacuum crack floated in the sky. Such sword power shocked all living beings. This pressure was too strong, and it could destroy everything. Such a sword made everyone tremble, and their hearts palpitated. Any one of the five dragon guards was incomparably powerful. Now that they had joined forces and the five dragon sword, they were terrifying. This was the strongest attack of the five dragon guards, and it condensed all the essence, energy, and spirit in their bodies. This was also an attack with no way out. Their battle strength reached the peak with one sword. Facing the demon king Du Xiaofu, the five dragon guards had long heard of his name. Even Dragon 2 had been killed by him, and he also had the divine thunder cauldron. Therefore, The 5 dragon guards used all their strength to kill the demon king Du Xiaofu in one move. Otherwise, the 5 of them would be at a disadvantage. If they couldn't win with this move, their master, Dragon One, would do it. There was no need for them to do anything else. He does have some tricks up his sleeve. Du Xiaofu nodded and secretly praised the 5 dragon guard. As a battle servant, being able to cultivate to such a level was absolutely rare in the world. However, the 5 dragons guards were the battle servants of dragons. Du Xiaofu had no intention of showing them any mercy. Moreover, the 5 dragon guards' killing intent was very strong. Facing people who wanted to kill him, Du Xiaofu would not be polite. Oh! The cry of a dragon resounded. That sword was like a heavenly sword that tore through the sky, like a divine dragon that rushed into the heavens. It erupted with shocking and terrifying fluctuations, and its might overflowed into the heavens and illuminated the heavens. Facing such a terrifying killing move, Du Xiaofu stared straight at it. His eyes twitched slightly, and he didn't even stop in his tracks. Right when the sword light was about to descend before him, Du Xiaofu suddenly shook his arm and stretched out his hand. His fingers were slightly curled, and golden talisman markings flickered on the tip of his fingers as if they intended to tear space apart. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's aura suddenly became like that of a peerless, ferocious beast. With a wave of his hand, a claw appeared in his hand, and a domineering and terrifying aura erupted. The claw tore through the void, and the dazzling talisman markings wreaked havoc like golden lightning. It was as if a golden-winged rock had spread its wings and soared into the sky. With such a claw in the sky, the surrounding creatures all felt a sense of fear. Especially the creatures from the beast race, they felt uncomfortable and fearful for no reason. It was as if they were facing a supreme king. It was as fast as lightning. The golden claw was like a golden sun in the sky. It tore through space and created 5 pitch-black spatial cracks. It heavily collided with the dragon-like, sword light. Crash! As the frightening claw descended, the dragon-like sword glow dragon was torn apart with an unstoppable force after a short stalemate. Like a hot knife through butter, the talisman markings in the sky shattered, and a terrifying energy storm spread out in an arc. Pung, 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 pung. The 5 dragon guards' figure appeared. His eyes were filled with fear, and he didn't have any room to maneuver. The dragon scale armor on his body was directly pierced through by the claw, and a mist of blood soared into the sky, sprinkling the void. At this scene, the void froze, and only the sound of the energy waves collapsing could be heard. What kind of strength was this? The 5 dragon guards and the 5 dragon swords were the strongest attack of the joint attack formation, but they were killed so easily. It was shocking to the point of disbelief. Gulp, gulp. Some people swallowed their saliva, and the sound of them sucking in cold breaths rose and fell. All the creatures were overwhelmed with emotions, and they trembled in fear. Such a purple-robed man was too terrifying and cruel. The golden light fluctuated beautifully, and it was filled with the supreme power of the golden-winged rock. It was as if a true rock had been born, and it had a domineering aura that looked down on the world. After a short moment of shock and silence, in this ancient and desolate world, the 10,000 spirit burial realm was filled with exclamations. Killing the 5 dragon guard with one claw, such a shocking scene was engraved in the minds of all the creatures present, and it was difficult to erase. No one would have thought that the demon king Du Xiaofu would only use a simple claw to end the 5 dragon guards' full-strength attack, and the 5 dragon guards' blood dyed the 10,000 spirit burial realm. The purple-robed man was dyed with golden light, and he was like a war god descending to the world. When he moved, he was like the demon king in the sky. Too strong, unfathomable. The demon king Du Xiaofu is as cruel as ever, and he's abnormally strong. In the School of Agriculture and Mo Family's formations, Mo Runin, Zhou Xiaoluo, and the other disciples and experts couldn't hide their shock, and they couldn't calm down for a long time. Bastard! This angry shout was accompanied by a dragon's roar that shook the sky. From above the abyss, on a towering cliff, a figure flashed forward like lightning. The 5 dragon guard was killed and turned into a bloody mist, but the 5 dragon swords remained. The runes were restrained, and they rumbled like dragons diving into the abyss. Collect. Du Xiaofu waved his arm, and a golden light swept out like an invisible golden net, directly imprisoning the 5 dragon swords. Together with the cosmos bags, they were all collected into his hand. Good swords. Looking at the 5 dragon swords, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but praise them inwardly. Even with Du Xiaofu's insight, these 5 dragon swords were not ordinary objects. They fluctuated with runes and emitted a dragon's aura. In the end, the 5 dragon swords and the cosmos bags were collected by Du Xiaofu into his own cosmos bag without any hesitation. Boom! The void rumbled, and the figure in the void in front of Du Xiaofu appeared in the air in front of him in an instant. He was wearing a golden battle robe that was like dragon scales, emitting a dazzling metallic luster, and a white dragon-patterned cloak that fluttered in the wind. On his shoulders, there were 2 dragon horns that stood erect, like 2 miniature horned dragons. This man looked to be in his 30s, and his light golden hair was combed neatly behind his head. He was tall and sturdy, and his face was like jade. There seemed to be a divine fire burning in his eyes, and he emitted a dragon's aura. His aura was powerful and sacred. Chapter 2002. That's the crown prince of the dragons, Long Yi. The arrival of such a man in battle attire in the air caused the eyes of many female creatures present to light up, and some of them even became dazed. Long Yi was indeed extraordinarily handsome. His dragon-patterned white cape fluttered in the wind, and his battle attire was awe-inspiring. His eyes were deep, and there was a faint golden brilliance rippling in them, containing a vision. His entire person was enveloped in a kind of radiance, standing tall like a god of war. The overflowing aura on his body made people want to prostrate themselves before him. Long Yi stood in the air, his eyes fixed on Du Xiaofu. The golden divine fire in his eyes seemed to revolve around a star. Use your true body. Otherwise, it won't be easy for me to cut off your head. However, Du Xiaofu only said this as he looked at Long Yi. He didn't take Long Yi too seriously. This didn't mean that Du Xiaofu was arrogant, and it also didn't mean that Du Xiaofu couldn't sense Long Yi's strength. On the contrary, Du Xiaofu could clearly sense that Long Yi was very strong. Compared to Long Er, Long Ting, and the others, he was far, far stronger. The 9 crown princes of the dragons, each stronger than the last, each more extraordinary than the last. The strength of the dragons and the strength of the bloodline of the true dragon descendants shocked Du Xiaofu to the core. If he had entered the heavenly devil battlefield, although he had already reached the immortal realm at that time, Du Xiaofu could clearly sense that if he had just stepped into the immortal realm and faced the current Long Yi, it was still uncertain who would win and who would lose. This Long Yi was so strong that he couldn't see through him. However, it was different now. With his current cultivation, Du Xiaofu didn't fear Long Yi. Even if Long Yi was so strong that he couldn't see through him, it was fine as long as he hadn't stepped into the true Saint realm. Boom! And when Du Xiaofu finished speaking, with Du Xiaofu as the center, the entire void trembled. It was as if the world was trembling, and the blood and qi within people's bodies were surging. The divine fire radiance in the eyes of Long Yi fluctuated, as if it was burning violently. However, after looking at Du Xiaofu, it calmed down again. You are very arrogant, and you have the right to be arrogant. However, you should know that in front of me, regardless of background or strength, you are still not qualified. Long Yi opened his mouth. At this moment, his voice was calm. It was slow and powerful, revealing a kind of confidence and calmness. His aura was also calm and powerful. This proved that at this moment, Du Xiaofu didn't look down on him, but there was a kind of confidence and contempt that came from the depths of his bloodline and soul. He continued to speak to Du Xiaofu. I am a pure-blooded descendant of the true dragon, an innate supreme race. You puny humans simply can't compare to me. As for strength, although you are not weak, but everything will end today. This kind of calm and powerful voice was like the sound of the Tao in the void, making people's hearts fluctuate without reason. Especially at this moment, the dragon's might that was spreading out from Long Yi's body along with his words made people's hearts throb. It made all the living beings present feel weak and want to kneel on the ground. What a terrifying Long-E, the future of dragons. Looking at such a heroic-looking man in battle clothes, the old people of the Nong family and the Imo family trembled. If they compared the strongest young generation of their respective families, it was obvious that they were inferior. Although Imo Runin and Zhou Xiaoluo were supremes, their cultivation time was far less than Long Yi's. However, Long Yi had a natural advantage. Even if they were at the same level, Imo Runin and Zhou Xiaoluo were inferior. With your strength, I'm afraid it's not enough. Du Xiaofu slightly raised his head and calmly looked at Long Yi, but that inexplicable domineering and fierce aura was difficult to suppress. He said, "For me, any race is worthy of respect. I came from Stone City, step by step, but unfortunately, I have the bloodline of the dragons like you. So I think of myself as noble. You don't know, at that time, your younger brothers also said the same annoying words as you." But in the end, his voice slightly paused. Du Xiaofu looked at Long Yi, and that inexplicable domineering and fierce aura gradually became stronger. He said, "In the end, they were all eaten by me, and the taste was not bad." Hearing such a voice, the corner of Long Yi's eyes couldn't help but twitch. He calmly looked at the former. Boom. Finally, the majestic aura in Long Yi's body was like an unsuppressible volcano, and it began to revolve. Along with a wave of coldness in his eyes, the surging aura in his body suddenly rushed out and rushed into the sky. Like a dragon's roar, he angrily shouted, "The descendants of the dragons who died because of you. I, as the crown prince of the dragons, guarantee that I will use your blood as a sacrifice." Du Xiaofu raised his head and glanced at Long Yi and said, "A crown prince of the dragons like you really has no weight in front of me. If you want to compare, I am the emperor of the barren country, and I have the position of the human emperor. In the golden-winged rock clan, I am the crown prince of the dragons, and I have eaten many of them. What are you? Only know how to be noisy. Use your true body, and let me chop off your head." This guy is still as savage and arrogant as before. Looking at Du Xiaofu, who was calm but inexplicably domineering, the eyes of Zhou Xiaoluo, Imo Runin, Imo Junyu, and the rest flickered. They smiled bitterly to themselves, but they were also filled with anticipation. Long Yi's jade-like face gradually turned cold, and he stared at Du Xiaofu. The surging aura in his body became even denser, and it violently fluctuated, as if a volcano had already erupted. With a rumbling sound of wind and thunder, it whistled through the void, and it was like a dragon's roar. Ao at the same time, Long Yi shook his arm, and a war blade appeared in his hand. The war blade was as tall as Long Yi, and the hilt of the blade was like a coiling dragon. The runes on the blade flickered, and around the war blade, there seemed to be a dragon's shadow in the void, and it seemed to be roaring towards the heavens, and its aura was powerful and intimidating. With such a war blade in Long Yi's hand, it was as if he was holding a dragon's shadow in his hand, and it was even more heroic and intimidating, as if the god of war had descended. When the war blade appeared, the surrounding creatures could feel the spirit weapons in their body trembling, and they wanted to worship it. Hoo, dragon saint weapon, true dragon saint slaying blade. When such a war blade appeared, the few elders of the farmer clan Imo family, as well as a few hidden gazes in the crowd, were instantly shocked, and they sucked in a breath of cold air, and their expressions changed drastically. Why would I need to use my true body to kill you? Today, I will kill you. Long Yi's jade-like face was filled with coldness, and he pointed his blade at Du Xiaofu. Boom! The moment Long Yi pointed his blade, the atmosphere in the sky suddenly became tense, and the dragon's shadow on the blade roared, and a terrifying aura and killing intent swept through the sky. Ao! The war blade swept out, and a blade light broke through the sky, and in the midst of the dragon's roar, the war blade seemed to have come alive, and in the sky, the blade light cut a crack in the space, and in the midst of the heartbeat and soul trembling, it directly cut in front of Du Xiaofu. Chapter 2003. Translator. H2-2 Mr. This blade gleam was like a dragon soaring through the 9 heavens, piercing through the void. The might of this blade was unbearable for all living things in the surroundings. No, no, Long Yi deliberately let the people of the desolate country go. He retreated in order to advance, luring Du Xiaofu over. In the farmhouse, the aged face of the elder who had fought against Long Yi changed. Long Yi possessed the treasure of the dragon clan, true dragon saint-slaying blade. If he had used such a blade at that time, then even if he and that elder of Mo clan joined hands, it would have been difficult to resist. That's not right. With Long Yi's personality and the 5 dragon guards, even if he was luring the Demon King over, he wouldn't have let Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, and the others off so easily. The village elder had a suspicious look on his face as thoughts flashed through his mind. Suddenly, he muttered softly, "Could it be that Long Yi is afraid of that mysterious guy?" In an instant, the blade gleam cut through the air and the roar of a dragon resounded. It brought with it a terrifying energy storm and a pitch-black spatial crack. There was also lightning shuttling back and forth, making one's hair stand on end. The power of this saber caused countless faces to be dumbfounded. The power of this saber was actually so strong that it was terrifying. What powerful strength, what a powerful saint weapon! Someone exclaimed. The might of this blade was condensed from Long Yi's own strength and that saint weapon. Rumble. Wherever the blade gleam passed, the earth shook as if there was an earthquake. Huge cracks continuously spread out on the ground. With such a blade gleam sweeping over, Du Xiaofu's gaze finally wavered. Golden light surged in his eyes, and from the center of his palm, a dazzling beam of light instantly shot out like a divine ray. Boom! The dazzling light wrapped around a terrifying energy vortex, causing the space to tremble. The mysterious runes on the talisman shone brightly, crazily absorbing all the energy of heaven and earth in the surroundings. Wong wong, wind and thunder resounded, and under the trembling gazes of the crowd, the mountain range below swayed in an instant. Large swaths of mountain peaks and cliffs directly cracked open like a spider web, and then with a loud bang, the mountain peak collapsed into pieces. As the purple-gold light bloomed, a purple-gold broadsword with the bones of a tiger and the body of a dragon revealed the secret patterns of the azure dragon and the black tortoise. It was as if the azure dragon soared into the sky and the black tortoise was entrenched. The 2 sides of the sword were like phoenixes facing the sun, crossing the 9 heavens. The hilt of the sword was like a tiger, ferociously roaring, as if it was about to pounce. Awoo! Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint. The cries of dragons and tigers, the cries of birds, and the cries of turtles filled the sky with dazzling, mysterious runes. Suddenly, an azure dragon shadow soared into the sky. A white tiger shadow crouched down. A phoenix shadow flapped its wings, and a black tortoise shadow appeared as if it wanted to suppress the world. The 4 beasts soared into the sky and coiled around the dragon shadow in an instant. It's that divine weapon. When such a broadsword appeared in the void, Zhou Xiaoluo, Mo Runin, and many others were shocked. They had seen the power of this divine weapon before, but at this moment, they felt that the power of this divine weapon was many times stronger than before. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had summoned the purple-gold heavenly tower that had been suppressed for a long time, allowing it to come out into the world. The purple-gold heavenly tower originally felt that the 5 dragons sword inside Du Xiaofu's body could no longer endure. If it wasn't for Du Xiaofu forcefully suppressing it, it would have rushed out of the tower. At this moment, the purple-gold heavenly tower was released by Du Xiaofu, and it had already sensed the aura of the true dragon's sacred slaying saber. It was like a wild horse that had escaped its reins or a falcon that had seen a rabbit. It immediately pounced towards the true dragon's sacred slaying saber. At this moment, such a peerless divine weapon was like a peerless demon that had awakened. It made people feel as if their souls would wither and be destroyed just by looking at it. Awoo! The roars of dragons and tigers, the cries of birds and turtles, immediately suppressed the dragon's shadow saber light. Such a divine weapon made Long Yi's eyes fluctuate violently for the first time. He could feel that his true dragon's sacred slaying saber seemed to be trembling a little. However, this was the true dragon's sacred slaying saber, one of the most precious treasures of the dragons. It was the killing weapon that the dragons had given him when he entered the heavenly devil battlefield this time. Long Yi didn't think that his true dragon's sacred slaying saber was inferior to the strange sword of the former. He condensed a sword art, and the true dragon's sacred slaying saber in his hand also flew out. Awoo! The true dragon's sacred slaying saber seemed to have turned into a resplendent dragon. The dragon roared in the 9 heavens as it pounced towards the purple-gold heavenly tower. Saint weapons had weapon spirits that were the same as the primordial spirit of their owners. At this moment, the true dragon's sacred slaying saber pounced out like a living creature. Its power erupted as if it could shatter the heavens and the earth. The purple-gold heavenly tower was like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey. For phantoms soared into the sky and directly suppressed the true dragon's sacred slaying saber. Such a battle left all the living beings in the surroundings dumbstruck. Long Yi and Du Xiaofu hadn't made a move yet, but the 2 weapons in their hands were already so terrifying. Du Xiaofu didn't pay much attention to the confrontation between the purple-gold heavenly tower and the true dragon's sacred slaying saber. His gaze was fixed on Long Yi. Boom! As the purple-gold heavenly tower pounced out, the back of Du Xiaofu trembled as the golden rock wings extended out from his back. The golden rock wings emitted a golden light as if the sun was shining in the sky. The Supreme Beast's aura wasn't inferior to Long Yi's. Qi-La, with a flap of his wings, Du Xiaofu's figure seemed to have turned into lightning. In the confrontation between the true dragon's sacred slaying saber and the purple-gold heavenly tower, he appeared in the sky with a series of afterimages. Amidst the dazzling scene, he suddenly pounced in front of Long Yi. Looking at Du Xiaofu's figure approaching, Long Yi's burning eyes trembled. He faintly felt a dangerous aura, but this didn't affect his confidence. In fact, it couldn't affect his confidence. Ao. Dazzling golden light burst out from Long Yi's body. His battle armor glowed, and the dragon horn on his shoulder seemed to have come alive. It wanted to drill out of the dragon shadow. As the void trembled, Long Yi clenched his fist and punched at Du Xiaofu with lightning speed. It was simple and had an origin, direct and violent. Long Yi wanted to get rid of Du Xiaofu directly. He didn't want to drag things out. He wanted to kill Long Yi in the shortest amount of time and in the most efficient way. Only then would he be able to match his status as the crown prince of the dragons. Ao. Long Yi's punch caused the void to tremble. That golden energy ripple seemed as if it came from the end of the earth, and mixed with the roars of numerous dragons. It was a spectacular sight. It shook the entire world and caused it to rumble. Dragon shadows filled the sky. Numerous dragons rushed into the sky. It was as if they could shake the stars down from the sky. The scene was shocking. Tyrannical Dragon Fist, the ultimate move of the true dragons. It is rumored that ancient true dragon experts could shatter stars with a single punch. Old Lady Mo's eyes trembled. Such a punch was very terrifying. Tyrannical Dragon Fist was extremely terrifying. That huge energy wave was like a stampede of beasts. It rumbled as if it had the power to destroy the world. It wanted to smash down the stars in the sky. Cyan's spirit armor. Tyrannical fists. Du Xiaofu continued to charge forward. The golden wings on his back shone brightly, carrying the domineering will of the golden-winged great rocks. The moment his figure pounced, layers of golden light flashed, and feather-like armor covered his body. An incomparably domineering aura suddenly swept out from his body. He raised his arm and punched, directly meeting the attack. Boom! Chapter 2004. Ao, the fist, accompanied by the long trumpeting of a divine elephant, instantly collided with the former. Boom! The entire void suddenly rumbled. At the place where the 2 fists collided, the surrounding void suddenly fell into the curtain of night, revealing a pitch-black vacuum that swallowed all light. Its might was unparalleled, suppressing the vast sky. Pong, pong, pong. After that, the surrounding space completely exploded, shattering inch by inch. The explosion was like thunder. Lightning flashed, and runes surged. The ground below cracked without end, and the cracks on the ground that were as thick as an arm spread out like a spiderweb. Goo goo. Everyone swallowed their saliva, their hair standing on end. Chila. Almost at the same time, under the gaze of many trembling with fear, Long Yi's figure was directly knocked down from midair like a meteor. With a rumbling sound, he smashed into the rocks beside the abyss. Huge rocks rolled down, and large cracks climbed up the cliff. The entire earth seemed to have experienced a violent earthquake, shaking unceasingly. In the void, an armored figure floated in midair. Above the armor, golden light rippled. The feather-like armor was like the golden feathers of a golden-winged roc, growing layer upon layer. It was divine and magnificent. The golden wings of the roc behind his back shone with boundless golden light, and the faint cry of the golden-winged roc could be heard. It pierced through the clouds and split rocks, and an incomparably domineering aura swept through the void. Long Yi was actually defeated in one move. Everyone's eyes trembled, and all of them were stunned. Even if there were people who knew that the Demon King Du Xiaofu had always been valiant and savage, they would never have thought that the Demon King Du Xiaofu would be able to defeat Long Yi in one move. Something's not right. Demon King Du Xiaofu's hand has blood. Could it be that he was injured? Someone was astonished. From afar, they saw that the right fist of the Demon King Du Xiaofu that had just attacked was stained with blood. Boom! In the blink of an eye, from within that tumbling boulder, crushed stones flew everywhere and rocks exploded. Then, a golden figure soared into the sky. It was Long Yi who had just smashed down. Merely, at this moment, Long Yi's complexion was extremely pale, and his hair was disheveled. He no longer had his previous extraordinary heroic appearance, and instead, he cut a sorry figure. Dark red dragon blood was overflowing from his fist. That's Dragon One's blood. Demon King Du Xiaofu made Dragon One bleed with a single punch. Some people secretly cried out in alarm. The blood on the hands of Demon King Du Xiaofu came from Long Yi. When their fists collided, Long Yi was bleeding. Long Yi could be said to be the number one person below the Saint Plane. As a descendant of the true dragon bloodline, his talent was needless to say. Dragons were the supreme beast race. Even the defensive power of a dragon's body was absolutely terrifying. Even cultivators of the same level would be helpless in the face of such defensive power. Demon King Du Xiaofu's fist collided, and Long Yi was bleeding. What kind of strength was this? Naturally, everyone didn't know that when Du Xiaofu was in the space of the divine domain, he had broken through and faced the strongest strength of the same level. He had succeeded in fighting against 9 opponents at the same level, and had finally achieved boundless nirvana. After stepping into boundless nirvana, Du Xiaofu would be able to fight against more than 10 opponents of the same level. In addition, the recent benefits obtained in the Heavenly Devil battlefield had strengthened the strength of Du Xiaofu's Spirit Watchtower and Primordial Spirit. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's cultivation had also reached the pinnacle of the immortal realm. With such cultivation strength, Du Xiaofu was enough to be invincible below the Saint Plane. Although Long Yi had a dragon's body with abnormal defensive power, ordinary cultivators would naturally be trampled if they wanted to fight against him. However, in terms of physical body, Du Xiaofu was even more abnormal. The golden rock body refining technique of the true rock realm, coupled with the immortal Shin body, and the cyan spirit armor with explosive defensive power, Long Yi could only be trampled by Du Xiaofu at this moment. At this moment, the person who was most shocked was definitely Long Yi. As the bloodline of the true dragon and the body of a dragon, especially after walking out of the divine dragon tomb, he had obtained great benefits. Long Yi had thought that he was invincible below the Saint Plane, except for the black-robed man who had followed Du Yunlong and the other disciples of the barren country. Along the way, he had indeed not encountered any opponents below the Saint Plane. He also thought that he was invincible below the Saint Plane. But now, feeling the pain of the cracks on his fist, Long Yi realized that the deaths of Long Air and the others were definitely not due to carelessness. The human in front of him was abnormal. He was a strong opponent. A woo. In the void not far away, the vacuum was chaotic. The roars of dragons, tigers, birds, and turtles pierced the clouds and cracked the stone. The 4 beast phantoms of the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise suppressed the giant dragon. Although the giant dragon roared ferociously and the dragon's might erupted, as if a true dragon had awakened, it could not break free under the suppression of the four beast phantoms. Awoo! This did not take long. At the same time, a dazzling light erupted from the purple-gold heavenly palace like a suppressed volcano. Astonishing and dazzling runes soared into the sky, causing gusts of wind and thunder, mixed with the cries of ghosts and gods, as if there were gods and demons roaring. Rumble! Rumble! From the purple-gold heavenly palace, a terrifying evil aura swept out at the same time, causing the void to collapse and the surrounding space to explode. In the next moment, the purple-gold heavenly palace bloomed with purple-gold light. The god of weapons was peerless in the sky and directly swallowed the true dragon, Saint Slayer blade. Humph! For some unknown reason, a muffled groan came from Long Yi's throat. He raised his head and looked at the true dragon, Saint Slaying blade. His gaze froze, and his complexion became even paler. He felt as if the energy of his true dragon, Saint Slaying blade, was being devoured by that strange broadsword. The weapon spirit within the true dragon, Saint Slaying blade, was terrified. What's going on? Long Yi was secretly shocked. The strange broadsword of the former had a terrifying evil aura that made the weapon spirit of the true dragon, Saint Slayer blade, tremble in fear. There was also an extremely strange devouring power that was pervasive and was devouring the energy of the true dragon, Saint Slayer blade. It even wanted to devour the weapon spirit of the true dragon, Saint Slayer blade. This was too shocking. This was the first time he had encountered such an inconceivable thing. The strength of the evil aura and devouring power shocked Long Yi. Use your true body, or you won't be able to withstand a single blow. Du Xiaofu stood in the air, and golden light shone brightly. The golden rock wings on his back and the cyan spirit armor on his body resonated with each other. He was like a humanoid rock, incomparably domineering and looking down disdainfully on the world. Long Yi's eyes surged. Everything was beyond his expectations. If he didn't use his strongest strength, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to end the battle today. He wouldn't be able to kill the human in front of him. Then, as you wish. These words came out from Long Yi's mouth, and golden light erupted from his body. It was as if a volcano was erupting. Along with rumbling sounds, mysterious runes and dragons might filled the sky, and half of the sky was covered. A huge golden dragon stretched across the void. Chapter 2005. Rumble. When such a huge dragon appeared in the sky, its aura at the pinnacle of Nirvana realm caused the sky to rumble and tremble. There was a mysterious mist spreading in all directions of the void, bringing with it a great dragon's might. Under such a dragon's might, both beasts and humans felt their hair stand on end. Even their souls were trembling. Those with lower strength were already trembling violently, vomiting blood, and their faces were deathly pale. Du Xiaofu's eyes widened when he saw such a huge dragon in the sky. Other than little Xingxing, he had never seen a dragon body with such a strong dragon's might. Kill! Dragon 1 roared and his dragon scales glowed. At this moment, it was as if a true dragon had been born, releasing the most dazzling light and pressure. It shattered the space and pounced directly at Du Xiaofu. Roar! The huge dragon covered the sky, its claws creating clouds. Its dragon horns glowed and rumbled as it moved. The light was like a divine chain forming a line, bringing with it a vast and turbulent dragon's might. It instantly arrived in front of Du Xiaofu. I'll kill you today. Facing that huge dragon soaring across the sky and rumbling dragon's might, Du Xiaofu's tyrannical and fierce aura didn't diminish in the slightest. With a shake of his arm, the surrounding void suddenly distorted and became chaotic, imprisoning Du Xiaofu's huge dragon body. In an instant, a strange pattern appeared in the void and enveloped Dragon 1. This was a void 8 trigrams diagram. Rumble. The sky trembled and the ears rumbled. With Du Xiaofu as the center, the void 8 trigrams diagram swept out like a divine ring, suffusing with brilliant light. In an instant, mountains and lakes were formed. Wind, rain, thunder, and lightning alternated. The sun, moon, and stars changed. Mountains and rivers moved. All kinds of strange phenomena descended from the sky. At this moment, all the living beings in the world trembled. All the living beings looked at that kind of void 8 trigrams diagram. That vast pressure was silent, but it revealed a kind of power of heaven and earth, making all living beings want to prostrate themselves in worship. Roar! Dragon 1 roared, and his body was suddenly blocked. His deep dragon eyes changed greatly. Under that strange power, it was difficult for him to break free from the void enveloped by the 8 trigrams. A vast power was able to suppress him directly. Rumble. In an instant, the heavens rumbled. Dragon Yi's huge body crossed the void, half of it submerged in the sea of clouds. His pair of dragon eyes were like the sun, and his dragon claws tore through the void. 9 divine rings directly appeared above his body. That was the nirvana power of a great supreme. Ow, 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 ow! Dragon roars resounded unceasingly, and 9 divine rings appeared in the sky. Dragony roared, and the sound waves seemed to be mixed with countless dragon phantoms floating in the sky. His voice was melodious, and it penetrated the void, making the world boil. Break! Long E angrily roared. All kinds of supreme talismans and mysterious runes covered his 9 divine rings. At this moment, the terrifying aura within Long Yi's body was peerlessly terrifying. It could shake one's soul, and it caused the surrounding void to collapse. The void 8 trigrams diagram trembled as if it wanted to break through and tear it apart. Pu. In the surrounding void, many living beings suddenly spat out blood one after another for some reason, and their bodies went limp. It's a nirvanic grand paragon, coupled with the dragon's dragon soul heavenly roar. It's a physical attack and a primordial spirit attack. Everyone, be careful. Seal off your 7 apertures. Within the great family clans, an old man's expression changed. His voice rang out, and light surged, protecting the young disciples who weren't strong enough. Roar, roar. The dragon roar was melodious, and it was filled with supreme dragon's might. The sonic boom was accompanied by the power of the nirvanic grand paragon. This was Long Yi's supreme technique, and it was too terrifying. Du Xiaofu stepped into the air. Behind him, a divine ring had unknowingly appeared. This divine ring was exceptionally bright and dazzling. It erupted with brilliant light, like the sun rising from the east. Buzz, buzz. This divine ring was in the air, and the ancient land was rumbling. Within the divine ring, Du Xiaofu's golden light surged, and it was enveloped and blended with the divine ring. It was as if it was a transcendent being, and it was sacred and inviolable. It gave people a feeling of the beginning of the world and the birth of all living beings. At this moment, the aura on Du Xiaofu's body wasn't as strong as Long Yi's nirvanic grand paragon's might. This kind of aura was spreading, and it didn't even make much noise. However, this kind of aura made the surrounding living beings start to hesitate, and they had a feeling of wanting to bow down and worship it. Those living beings who were spitting out blood under Long Yi's might suddenly felt the pressure disappear, and they felt indescribably comfortable. Suppress. Du Xiaofu spoke. The golden wings of the great rock behind his back flapped as he soared through the air. His aura gushed forth like a waterfall, gushing up and down, causing the space around him to undulate. As Du Xiaofu walked towards Dragon one step at a time, the 8 trigrams diagram in the sky rippled, and all kinds of phenomena on the 8 trigrams diagram fused with the divine ring. It was as if a new world was being born, and it suppressed Dragon one's huge body once again. Chi-la-la. At this moment, for some unknown reason, the 9 divine rings behind Long Yi started to dim. They looked like dried oil lamps that were on the verge of being extinguished. What kind of nirvana is this? The pupils of Long Yi shrunk. At this moment, he was able to sense the terrifying pressure emanating from that divine ring. It was as if he was facing a spirit god sovereign. His grand sovereign nirvana wanted to prostrate himself in worship. His dragon soul heavenly roar primordial spirit attack was powerful enough to destroy the primordial spirits of all living beings. However, in front of Du Xiaofu, it seemed to be completely useless. Woo! Not far away in the void, dragons and tigers leaped, birds and turtles chirped, The four beasts above the purple-gold heavenly tower suppressed the huge dragon. The purple-gold heavenly tower emitted a murderous aura as it devoured the true dragon sacred slaying blade. Awoo! Within the true dragon sacred slaying blade, a dragon roared once again. A dazzling, crystalline dragon roared out, looking ferocious in the sky. This was the weapon spirit within the true dragon's sacred slaying blade. Wong Wong. The purple-gold heavenly tower cheered as if it had seen its prey. However, in the next moment, a monstrous light surged out from within the purple-gold heavenly tower. It turned into shadows of swords, spears, swords, and halberds. Then, it condensed into a dazzling thunderbolt. It was so close that the crystalline dragon was directly crushed into pieces by the unstoppable thunderbolt. Then, the purple-gold heavenly tower shone brightly as if it had condensed into a huge mouth in the void. It swallowed the shattered dragon shadow. Oh no! Dragon One's pupils suddenly shrunk, but there was nothing he could do. He instantly spat out a mouthful of dragon blood. The weapon spirit within his true dragon's sacred slaying blade had been killed and devoured. He was severely injured. Wong Wong. Wong Wong Wong. As Dragon One's weapon spirit was devoured, the purple-gold heavenly tower let out a cheerful vibrating sound, accompanied by the endless cries of ghosts and gods. The true dragon's sacred slaying blade is destroyed? Goo Goo. Looking at the scene in the sky, the elders of the Gnome family and the Mo family were dumbfounded. They gasped and were unable to recover for a long time. Bastard, no matter what price I have to pay, I will kill you today, Dragon One roared. Suddenly, a ball of dazzling golden light surged out from within the dragon claw. It was wrapped in rays of auspicious light. Looking closely, everyone saw that it was only a drop of blood, but it burst out with a terrifying pressure. Dragon One then opened his mouth and swallowed this drop of blood. Boom! As this drop of blood was swallowed, the light around Dragon One's body surged into the sky. His aura shook the universe. Suddenly, a monstrous golden light burst out from his body, blasting the void around him. Unparalleled surging dragon power swept out. In just an instant, the power on Dragon One's body violently skyrocketed. It was as if it was infinitely close to the saint realm. It even carried a kind of saintly might. Oh no, that must be the true dragon blood essence. Dragon One brought a drop of true dragon blood essence with him. Rumor has it that in the tomb of the divine dragon, there are 3 drops of true dragon blood essence left behind by the ancient true dragon at the cost of his own cultivation in order to let the dragon stand tall. It is said that the true dragon blood essence contains sacred will. Beasts such as serpents and flood dragons can directly transform into dragons if they obtain it. If the descendants of dragons obtain it and use it when breaking through the saint realm, they can directly step into the saint realm. In order to deal with the demon king Du Xiaofu, Dragon One even used the true dragon blood essence. It is almost as if he is breaking through to the saint realm as the price. The elders of the Gnome family and the Mo family exclaimed, their faces full of shock. At this moment, Dragon One had indeed used the true dragon blood essence. He had obtained a drop of true dragon blood essence from the tomb of the divine dragon. He had originally planned to use it when breaking through to the saint realm to obtain the greatest effect and become a saint in one fell swoop. But now, Dragon One had no choice but to use the true dragon blood essence. He had to pay any price to kill Du Xiaofu today. Roar! Dragon One's power skyrocketed. Accompanied by his saint aura, the 9 divine rings that were about to be annihilated a moment ago became bright and dazzling again at this moment. It even set off monstrous waves in the void 8 trigrams diagram. Waves of dragon aura were like true dragons that had crossed the ancient time and space to descend, quickly sweeping towards Du Xiaofu. The terrifying pressure made the void 8 trigrams diagram almost crack. It even impacted one of the divine rings behind Du Xiaofu. It was terrifyingly powerful, not much weaker than a half-saint. Such power made Du Xiaofu's eyes ripple. At this moment, the power on Dragon One's body was not much weaker than a half-saint. Boom! However, Du Xiaofu did not have any intention of retreating. His eyes shot out purple golden lightning, like 2 purple golden suns shining. The domineering and terrifying aura made the space rumble. In the next moment, dazzling purple-golden lightning arcs surged out from Du Xiaofu's golden body. A supreme aura filled the air, suppressing the heaven and earth. At this moment, dazzling purple-golden lightning arcs swept across the sky. The purple-golden talisman runes flickered and swept across the sky. It was impossible to provoke, and it also swept across the sky with a murderous aura. The purple-golden lightning arcs shot out in all directions in the Void 8 trigrams diagram. It was as if the sun had risen in the Void 8 trigrams diagram. Countless purple-golden lightning arcs poured down, emitting a blazing radiance. A huge purple-golden thunder rock phantom spread its wings and soared into the sky. The purple-golden thunder rock phantom enveloped Du Xiaofu's body. It merged with the boundless nirvana divine ring and the Void 8 trigrams diagram, and it was about to soar into the sky. Suppress! Du Xiaofu shouted loudly. It was like the cry of a rock, piercing through the clouds and splitting rocks. It stirred up monstrous lightning that rose and fell like a vast ocean. It seemed as if it wanted to stir up the sky and the earth. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was enveloped in the purple-golden thunder rock, and it was as if he had transformed into a real golden-winged rock. Du Xiaofu directly crossed the void and suppressed Dragon One. The phantom behind him spread out its huge wings, and purple-golden lightning arcs sparkled all over its body. Its ferocious aura spread out, causing the entire world to tremble. Chapter 2006. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams void diagram, the boundless power of nirvana, the lightning martial vein, and the supreme beast energy of the golden rock merged into one. Such a huge power turned the universe upside down, and the void rumbled as it bound Dragon One. The enormous purple-gold thunder rock soared through the sky with endless lightning and boundless nirvanic brilliance. With a vast and inviolable might, it directly suppressed the dragon's body. The 9 divine rings above Dragon One's head dimmed as they roared and surged. But no matter how much Dragon One used his full strength, he couldn't break free from the suppression of the purple-gold thunder rock. The vast power could directly bind and suppress him to the point where he couldn't resist. Bang, bang, bang. Even someone as powerful as Dragon One had his dragon scales shattered under this terrifying power. He spat out blood from his ferocious mouth, and his body was bleeding profusely. In the next instant, Du Xiaofu's figure walked out from the purple-gold thunder rock and stepped onto the suppressed Dragon One's huge back. At this moment, Du Xiaofu seemed to be standing at the peak of the same realm, looking down on all opponents of the same realm. He was unparalleled and looked down on everyone. "I've said that I'll kill you today." Du Xiaofu stood on Dragon One's huge back and said such a domineering sentence. At the same time, he waved his hand, and the purple-gold heavenly tower in the void beside him rapidly turned into a purple lightning bolt and rushed into his hand. Buzz! When Du Xiaofu's last word fell, the purple-gold heavenly tower was already in his hand. He swung the sword down, and a bright sword light directly slashed out. This sword was simple and direct, but it was supported by a powerful force. The sword light flashed through the void, and blood immediately splashed out from Dragon One's neck. The dragon scales were directly shattered, and a crack appeared on his huge neck. The sword light flashed and disappeared, and with a purple-gold arc, it was invincible as it sank into Dragon One's neck. Puffed! Immediately, Dragon One's head was separated from its body. It had a blank look on its face, and its huge dragon pupils shrank in shock. The fear of death surged out from its dragon soul for the first time, and it grew like wild grass. Dragon blood was dripping down, floating in the air, condensing and not dissipating. It was gorgeous and dazzling, but also mournful and terrifying. This scene caused everyone who saw it to be shocked to the point of being horrified to the extreme. The sword fell, and Dragon One's head was separated from his body. This scene was deeply imprinted in the dragon souls of all living beings. Bang, bang, bang. The huge dragon body fell onto the cliff, causing the ground to shake. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu was holding a dragon horn in each hand as he hovered in the air. At the same time, in Du Xiaofu's palm, There was a drop of blood that shone with resplendent light and was suffused with mist and auspicious light. It emitted a terrifying dragon's might, as if an enormous dragon was about to break free. This was the true dragon's blood essence that Dragon One had just consumed, and it had not been completely refined. Dragon One only wanted to use the power of this true dragon's blood essence to help improve himself, and he wanted to use it to kill Du Xiaofu. This true dragon's blood essence was then unceremoniously suppressed and sealed by Du Xiaofu. After doing all this, Du Xiaofu stepped onto the dragon's head and looked at the distant void. From afar, it looked like he was standing on a huge dragon head mountain suspended in the void. If it were not for the dragon's blood still spilling from his neck, it would be hard to believe that it was Dragon One's head. As powerful as Dragon One was, he was definitely an invincible existence under the Saint Realm, but at this moment, his head was really cut off by Du Xiaofu. Such a supreme existence like Dragon One, who had exhausted the dragon's greatest resources and endless effort, died just like that. In the surrounding void, all living beings raised their heads to look at the golden-armored man with the golden wings spread, and they were shocked and excited. That was a dragon slayer. Dragon One was unwilling, and his dragon pupils shrank and trembled, but in the end, he powerlessly closed his eyes. Dragon One is dead. The old man in the farmer's house, the beautiful woman leading the Emo family, Zhou Xiaoluo, Emo Runin, and the others were all trembling. The 9 sons of the dragons have all died in the barren country. The luck of the dragons has come to an end, and the rise of the barren country is unstoppable. The old man in the farmer's house sighed as he looked at the dragon-slaying demon king. He was so shocked that he could not recover from his shock. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, in the distant void, there was a surge of aura that rushed to the sky, and there was lightning and thunder. The Rock Emperor is invincible. Greetings to the Rock Emperor. Such a voice came from the distant void, accompanied by the sound of wind breaking. In the surging aura, dozens of figures broke through the void and landed in front of the huge, ferocious dragon's head. They respectfully knelt in the air on one knee and saluted. They were the Mie Meng King, the Thunderhawk King, the Mysterious Dragon King, the Stone Turtle King, and the other experts of the barren country. When they saw the dragon slaying from afar, they could no longer hold back the boiling blood in their bodies. They no longer hid and rushed to the sky. Behind the Mie Meng King and the others, there were 3 other figures that were slowly flying over. On the right was a man in a cloud robe. His black hair was shoulder length, and his body was muscular. His gaze was like a blade, deep and powerful. The figure in the middle was sexy and graceful. She wore a pair of leather shorts that wrapped around her perky buttocks. Together with her straight and slender legs, there was a silent seductiveness amidst the heat. Although she was not devastatingly beautiful, she was extraordinarily beautiful. Her pitch-black eyes were as clear as a stream of water, bright and beautiful like a reflection of the sunset. The third man on the left had a chiseled and handsome face. His thick eyebrows were slightly raised in a rebellious manner. His pair of pitch-black eyes were like 2 black holes. His hair was tied up in a bun, and he wore a light purple robe, which made him look extremely elegant. It's them, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, and Jiang Chun. When the 3 arrived, people whispered to each other. Du Xiaofu saw the last 3 as well. They were his second brother, Du Yunlong, and his eldest sister, Du Xiaoman. He was also slightly surprised by Jiang Chun's appearance. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's eyes widened, and he looked up at the sky. At almost the same time, Jiang Chun raised his head slightly, his handsome profile impeccable. His eyes, like 2 black holes, looked in the same direction as Du Xiaofu. Bastard. We dragons definitely won't let you get away with it, you little bastard. The moment Du Xiaofu and Jiang Chun looked up, a furious roar filled with venom and monstrous killing intent rang out like a dragon's roar. Off in the distance, space tore apart as a dazzling figure shot toward Du Xiaofu with the speed and brilliance of a meteor. When this figure appeared, the space in this ancient and desolate region suddenly froze. It was as if the world itself was twisting and distorting. Such a strange change immediately caused all the living beings present to feel it. All of them felt their heartbeats quicken, as if a 5,000-kilogram boulder was pressing down on their chests, and it wanted to crush their hearts and shatter their souls. Just this aura alone was enough to cause such a terrifying sensation. This level of strength caused all the experts present to pale with astonishment. Chapter 2007. Dragons, at least a half-saint. The faces of the elders of the Nung family and the Imo family changed. Such a terrifying aura made them secretly aghast. That was the aura of a powerful dragon's, a true half-saint or above. The newcomer shot out from the void like lightning, attracting Du Xiaofu's attention first. His gaze had already sunk. That level of aura could not escape Du Xiaofu's sharp primordial spirit. That was a true half-saint or above, definitely not weaker than the Earth Demon envoy from the Devil religion not long ago. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. 1 arrow, 2 arrows, 3 arrows. At the same time, green light shone brightly in the void. The sound of wind breaking was like thunder, and 3 arrows shot out from the side of the void towards the newcomer. Wherever the 3 light arrows passed, a large area of space was directly distorted. Before the arrow tip, the space collapsed, and the light traces that distorted space pierced through space. This was Dongli Qingqing's attack. She had been watching the surroundings closely, and the moment the newcomer appeared, she did not hesitate to summon the Taiqing demon-subduing bow. A dazzling green light spread out like the sun. The ancient bow in Dongli Qingqing's hand emitted a terrifying aura, like an ancient god awakening from a deep slumber. A mysterious power burned as the bow was pulled back and released. These 3 arrows were too frightening. They caused the figure of the dragon clan to be obstructed. Immediately, he came to a halt in the void. Monstrous light erupted. Accompanied by a dragon roar, it turned into a strange palm print that distorted the void in front of him and blocked the attack. The 3 arrows shot out and collided with the palm print, carrying a mysterious and vast force that devoured life. Although the last 3 arrows pierced through the palm print, they were powerless to continue and disappeared into the void. Dongli Qingqing's delicate body staggered back a little. Her beautiful face was a little pale, and her dark brows furrowed. Dongli Qingqing had used all her strength to shoot those 3 arrows, but they could not do anything to the newcomer. They could only block it. Boom! Above the void, golden light filled the sky, and purple-gold lightning arcs swept out. Monstrous energy ripples shook the sky, dominating sword path. At the same time, an indifferent and overbearing shout resounded, and then a strand of violet gold sword light flashed forward. This sword seemed to be able to split a mountain. There was nothing fancy about it. However, wherever the sword radiance passed, the space collapsed, revealing traces of a vacuum, accompanied by purple-gold lightning arcs that swept out in all directions. This sword brought with it a domineering aura that made one tremble in fear. Energy pressure spread out from it, causing the space to tremble violently. A terrifying sword intent also swept through the clouds. That overbearing sword aura made people's hair stand on end. This was Du Xiaofu attacking at the same time. The aura of the dragon race was coming, so Du Xiaofu did not hesitate at all and struck first to gain the upper hand. The dragons had no time to dodge at all. They could only wave their hands. As the might of the dragon surged, a palm print condensed and turned into the shadow of a dragon. Qi La, the sword light and the dragon shadow collided, but there wasn't much of a sound of energy. Only the terrifying sword light turned into rune ripples that swept through the surrounding void like a tsunami, and the purple-gold lightning arcs flew away. Ding ding! The figure of the dragons was sent flying. The void behind him shattered inch by inch, and the shattered space ripples shot out in all directions like waves. Humph! A muffled snort came from the throat of the person. He seemed to have suffered a loss. In the end, he stomped his foot, and the void under his foot cracked. His figure stopped 100 feet away. It was an old man who looked to be in his 60s or 70s. His bald head was like a piece of jade, but there was a mysterious pattern glowing like a dragon tattoo on his head. The old man's forehead bulged slightly, and his eyes were filled with venom. He stared at Du Xiaofu and Dongli Qingqing, who had just arrived at Du Xiaofu's side. His face was filled with rage, and it was dark and unsightly. If I'm not wrong, that's the Shanglong Saint of the Dragons. He's much more senior than Long Tongue. It's said that one sword has been in seclusion for many years. I didn't expect him to come out. The beautiful woman leading the Mo family looked at the old man with a frown. Is he in the Saint realm? Mo Runin was surprised, and her charming face changed. She said, could it be that Saint realm cultivators can already enter the heavenly devil battlefield? He shouldn't have set foot in the Saint realm, but he's already a half-saint. Maybe he's not too far away from the real Saint realm. The beautiful woman was also surprised. The seal outside the heavenly devil battlefield should have been weakened to the point that even half-saints could enter. Maybe the real Saint realm could enter at this moment. It seemed that the real dispute in the heavenly devil battlefield had begun. A half-saint expert. I'm afraid that the Demon King will be in trouble. Zhou Xiaoluo raised her eyes and felt the aura of the dragon's expert. She was worried about Du Xiaofu. Not necessarily. The Demon King didn't suffer a loss just now. The old man leading the Mo family said. At this moment, Shanglong Saint was staring at Du Xiaofu and Dongli Qingqing with a gloomy face. The broken dragon soul stones of Dragon Air, Long Tongue, and the others in the clan proved that they had been killed. He entered the heavenly devil battlefield with all his strength and got the news that the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, had massacred the dragons. Long Yi was the last hope of the dragons, and no accident could happen to him. Therefore, Shanglong Saint used the secret method of the dragons to find Long Yi. He wanted to protect the last hope of the dragons, but in the end, he felt Long Yi's dragon soul dissipate. He rushed over and saw Long Yi being killed with his own eyes. He was furious and wanted to kill Du Xiaofu directly. However, Shanglong Saint didn't expect that with his cultivation and strength, he would be stopped by the 3 arrows of the young woman. Then, he was forced back by Du Xiaofu's sword. He even suffered a loss. Secretly observing Du Xiaofu, Shanglong Saint didn't need to guess. He had already recognized Du Xiaofu's identity. That golden-winged Peng sword had proven his identity, and he was also secretly shocked. He was clearly a human, but his aura was like that of a real golden-winged Peng. You are Du Xiaofu, right? Anyone who kills my dragons will be torn to pieces by my dragons. Shanglong Saint stared at Du Xiaofu. His anger drowned out everything, and the killing intent in his eyes was undisguised. If looks could kill, Du Xiaofu would have died 10 times over. Du Xiaofu's expression did not change much when he heard Shanglong Saint's words, which were filled with killing intent. However, he was secretly surprised. Shanglong Saint's strength seemed to be stronger than the Earth Demon envoys. His Tyrant Swordway and Lightning Mysteries had been directly countered by Shanglong Saint's attack. The dragons have provoked me time and time again. I can't let them trample on me. Looking at Shanglong Saint, Du Xiaofu said indifferently. He felt that Shanglong Saint's aura was not at the level of the true Saint Realm expert who had chased after him. He estimated that Shanglong Saint was at most a half-step saint. Although Du Xiaofu didn't dare to be careless with such a cultivation, he was absolutely not afraid. Chapter 2008. Du Xiaofu was looking forward to it. Back then, he had almost killed the Earth Demon envoy, but unfortunately, the 9 Demon Emperor had interfered. This time, the half-saint dragons had come. If he could kill him, it would be another blow to the dragons. It wasn't difficult for Du Xiaofu to know that there were only a few half-sage experts in the entire dragon race. Killing one of them was enough to shock the entire dragon race and cause serious damage to their bones. This saint doesn't care about that. Since you dared to touch my dragons, you must pay an absolute price. Only by wiping out your entire clan can I vent my hatred. Today, this place will be your burial ground. The Shanglong Saint stared at Du Xiaofu, unmoved by his words. His expression was sinister and gloomy. Dragons could touch others, but no one could touch dragons in the slightest. He couldn't allow insignificant humans to look down on the dragons. Killing several of the dragon's descendants was already a great humiliation to the entire clan. Not far away, Jiangxin's hair was sticking to his back. His eyes were as deep as black holes. He quietly watched everything in front of him. Shameless old man, you're only a half-saint, yet you dare to call yourself a saint? You want to kill me? I'm afraid you don't have the qualifications. Facing the Shanglong Saint's sinister sneer, Du Xiaofu's expression suddenly became unsightly. His lips curled into a sneer. The golden wings on his back glowed with golden light, carrying the domineering will of the golden-winged great rocks. Holding the purple-gold celestial tower in his hand, his eyes also filled with killing intent. He slowly raised his head and grinned at the Shanglong Saint. As for wiping out my entire clan, to be honest, you don't even have the qualifications to stand in front of me. With your half-saint cultivation, I'm afraid you wouldn't even dare to step into the gates of the desolate country, let alone the gates of the golden-winged great rocks. Even if you had the guts, you wouldn't dare to approach the gates of the golden-winged great rocks. Du Xiaofu's words reverberated in the void. The surrounding creatures were left in a daze. It was clear that he didn't even put semi-sage dragons in his eyes. However, at this moment, no one felt that this demon king Du Xiaofu was being arrogant. Long Yi's head was still floating in the air. His sword strike just now had directly pushed back that half-saint expert. He definitely had the ability to do so. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Shanglong Saint was at a loss for words, as if there was a fishbone stuck in his throat. Saint Shanglong had indeed heard news about the dragons. There was a mysterious expert in the barren country, and it was rumored that he was related to the genius Jinlei Tensei. Shanglong was not confident that he could deal with him. As for the golden-winged great rocks, not to mention Shanglong Saint, even the entire dragons wouldn't be able to invade them. Among the group of golden-winged rocks, there was an absolutely terrifying expert, enough to kill him hundreds of times. Rumble. At this moment, in the vast cliff below, rumbling sounds could be heard again. Unceasing cracks began to appear, and in the bottomless abyss, there were fluctuations of energy and fog rolling over. At first, people thought that the trembling was the aftermath of the fierce battle between Du Xiaofu and Long Yi. Could it be that the inheritance of a supreme expert is about to appear? But soon, some experts were surprised to find that the trembling wasn't simple. There were no signs of it weakening, and it was getting stronger. Boom! That terrifying aura was like a monstrous beast awakening in the bottomless abyss, and a volcano was about to erupt. The aura made people's hearts palpitate for no reason. "Old Nine, you're here?" Suddenly, a calm voice rang out from the bottomless chasm. However, when the last word was spoken, the calm voice was like thunder. It resounded through the air, accompanied by a shocking demonic aura that soared into the sky. In the void, Du Xiaofu and Dongli Qingqing's expressions changed drastically. They looked at each other, and their expressions were extremely solemn. This is the place. There's an evil spirit here that wants to escape. It should be the strongest demon emperor's primordial spirit that the divine ancestor mentioned. Dongli Qingqing frowned, and the Taiqing demon's subduing bow in her hand shone brightly, dyeing the surroundings with a brilliant radiance. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu looked into the distance, and with a serious expression, he said softly, "The devil religion is also here." Boom! Before Du Xiaofu's voice fell, demonic aura surged in the void in front of them, and demonic clouds surged. It was as if dark clouds covered the sky, and the world suddenly became dark. Qila, the demonic clouds covered the sky, and a huge demonic figure appeared in the void. His body was covered in demonic radiance, and his eyes were pitch black and deep, like black holes. The energy of heaven and earth in the surroundings became chaotic, and the souls of all living beings in the surroundings trembled. "It's really him, the Nine-Demon Emperor." Du Xiaofu's eyes trembled violently, and he was no longer unfamiliar with this familiar figure. It was the primordial spirit of the Nine-Demon Emperor who had escaped from the heavenly Yu Mountain not long ago. At this moment, he had appeared in the myriad spirit burial realm. Rumble. The Nine-Demon Emperor appeared, and the demonic aura around him surged. He immediately attacked, and a huge claw swept out. 5 cracks seemed to have been torn in the void, and he tore at the bottomless abyss, as if he wanted to completely destroy it. He wants to help the other demon emperor's primordial spirit to be born. We can't let him succeed. Dongli Qingqing shouted, and without any hesitation, she activated her supreme power, and a mysterious force surged out of her body. She did not hold back her undying and indestructible cultivation aura at all. The Taiching demon's subduing bow in her hand was drawn, and 3 energy light arrows were shot out in succession. Rumble. Wind and thunder rumbled, and purple electric arcs filled the void. Divine rings appeared in the sky, and it was as if the heavens had descended, and the gods and demons were singing. Swish! Before Dongli Qingqing made her move, Du Xiaofu activated the Thunder Martial Vein on his Azure Spirit Armor and the Boundless Nirvana Power. The purple-gold Heavenly Fault in his hand was activated along with the Thunder Martial Vein and the Boundless Nirvana Power. The tyrannical sword Dao slashed at the demonic claw. Tisk, tsk, tisk, the 3 clashed almost at the same time, and in that instant, the heavens fell and the earth cracked, and the demons howled in grief. The void seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and demonic aura swept across the sky, dispersing the void and breaking the firmament. The 3 energy light arrows were shattered by the demonic aura, and the sword light was annihilated by the demonic aura. However, the demonic claw was also broken, and only a remnant wave of demonic aura was left. It struck the bottomless abyss, and the surrounding huge bone mountains were broken, and the cliffs revealed ravines. Kikik, in the bottomless abyss, the demonic aura soared into the sky, and as the cliffs shook and cracked, a sinister laughter that made one tremble in fear could be heard. Pfff, Dongli Qingqing spat out a mouthful of dark red blood, and she was forced to retreat. She had exhausted all her strength twice, and her face was extremely pale. Chapter 2009. Thump, thump, Du Xiaofu was also knocked back. The space behind him cracked, and demonic energy filled the air. The light of the Cyan's spirit armor on his body dimmed significantly. Too strong. As he was knocked back, Du Xiaofu's expression became even more serious. Although the primordial spirit of the 9-demon emperor had been severely injured by the heavenly wood divine tree, the strength he displayed now was not much weaker than when he was in the heavenly Yu mountain. And this was not his true strength. Once the primordial spirit of the 9-demon emperor and his body merged into one, it would be the most terrifying time. Suddenly, before he could stabilize himself, Du Xiaofu's mind trembled. The purple lightning profound cauldron in the God Watchtower was attracted by an invisible force and began to rumble. It's not just the 9-demon emperor. There's also Moksha. This kind of attraction was too familiar. Du Xiaofu immediately looked at the monstrous demonic energy. A 3-legged cauldron surrounded by purple gold lightning arcs had appeared out of nowhere. A purple thundercloud appeared in the sky, and the terrifying might of thunder instantly filled the sky. Resplendent lightning arcs filled the air, and a heart-palpitating aura suddenly swept out, causing all the living beings present to feel an absolute sense of fear. Behind the 9-demon emperor, a tall figure appeared, carrying the divine lightning cauldron. Wrapped in demonic energy, it was as if a demon lord had descended. It was Moksha, divine lightning cauldron. Looking at the 3-legged lightning cauldron, the eyes of all the living beings present immediately froze. Many of them had seen such a divine lightning cauldron with their own eyes. Boom! Following the appearance of the purple lightning profound cauldron, one of the purple lightning profound cauldrons in Du Xiaofu's God Watchtower suddenly buzzed, wanting to break out of his body. Little bastard, die! Abruptly, a cold voice filled with boundless killing intent rang out. Saint Shanglong suddenly acted. He didn't care about the arrival of the devil religion. Seeing Du Xiaofu being forced back, this was his best opportunity. To Shanglong Saint, killing Du Xiaofu was far more important than the arrival of the devil religion. The sudden arrival of this devil religion expert was simply a blessing from the heavens. Boom! Without any hesitation, Shanglong's half-saint chi burst out. His whole body glowed with dazzling light, as if he was burning with divine fire. He moved like lightning and punched at Du Xiaofu. Roar! This punch contained the full power of Saint Shanglong wherever his body passed. A dragon roar shook the sky. The space before his fist cracked, and it contained endless pressure as it smashed toward Du Xiaofu. Shanglong Saint used his full strength and didn't hold back at all. He wanted to kill Du Xiaofu in one strike. Shanglong Saint did not underestimate Du Xiaofu. Not to mention that he had seen it with his own eyes. Just the fact that Du Xiaofu could kill Long Yi was enough to make him not dare to be careless. Such a terrifying human, who had only cultivated for a few years, was already so terrifying. He definitely couldn't be allowed to continue growing. Such a human's growth speed was too terrifying. If he continued to grow, he would become a real threat to the dragons. There would be no end to the troubles in the future. The huge power of this punch caused everyone to be shocked by the appearance of the divine lightning cauldron. They also sucked in a breath of cold air for Du Xiaofu. Shanglong Saint is shameless. He actually launched a sneak attack. People from the Nong family and Mo family secretly cursed. With Shanglong Saint's age and cultivation, he was indeed shameless to launch a sneak attack at this moment. This is going to be troublesome. Zhou Xiaoluo, Mo Runin, and the others all paled when Shanglong Saint, who had a grudge with Du Xiaofu, suddenly launched a sneak attack against an expert from the devil religion. Rock Emperor, be careful. Mia Ming King, Thunderhawk King, Stone Turtle King, and the others all paled. However, Mia Ming King and the others did not intervene. They knew that in such a battle between experts, they did not even have the strength to be affected, let alone intervene. They would only be a burden if they went up. Everyone's expression changed. They were worried for Du Xiaofu. With the arrival of the 9 demon emperors from the devil religion, compared to Shanglong Saint, Du Xiaofu was more worried about the devil religion. Although he was blocking the 9 demon emperors, Du Xiaofu's attention did not shift away from Shanglong Saint. As I said, you are only a half-step saint. You are not qualified. Looking at Shanglong Saint, who was throwing a punch at him, Du Xiaofu's eyes were filled with killing intent. He shook his arm, and from the center of his palm, a dazzling purple-gold electric arc shot out. Buzz, the electric arc filled the air. In just an instant, the purple-gold electric arc turned into a 3-legged lightning cauldron. The 9 demon emperors and Moksha had arrived, wanting to help the demon escape. Du Xiaofu did not want to waste any more time and summoned the purple lightning profound cauldron, which wanted to escape from the divine watchtower. Boom! When the purple lightning profound cauldron appeared, purple thunderclouds surged endlessly. The thunderclouds rolled in the vast sky, and the entire sky changed color. The purple thunderclouds were so dense that a large area of the void froze, blocking Shanglong Saint's figure. Divine lightning cauldron. With his figure blocked, Shanglong Saint's expression changed greatly. The surrounding void was filled with lightning, and the thunderclouds covered the sky. The entire sky seemed to have turned dark in an instant. A monstrous aura of destruction spread out from the purple thunderclouds, causing Shanglong Saint's dragon soul to tremble for no reason. Within the purple thunderclouds, purple lightning spread out, and the surrounding space cracked inch by inch along with the sizzling sound of electricity. Not good. The terrifying destructive might of the lightning caused Shanglong Saint's expression to change. A chill spread out from the bottom of his heart, and he felt that something was wrong. He immediately wanted to retreat. However, it was too late. The divine lightning cauldron spun, and the purple thunderclouds surged. The killing intent in Du Xiaofu's eyes became even more intense. From the purple thunderclouds, arcs of lightning gathered to form purple thunderbolts that suddenly burst out. With a dazzling purple light, they poured down and densely surrounded Shanglong Saint. The purple thunderbolts, accompanied by an unparalleled destructive force, fell from the sky and struck down. Rumble. At the same time, Moksha controlled the other purple lightning cauldron. The resplendent thunderbolts that filled the sky also fell into the bottomless abyss. Wherever the thunderbolts passed, the space shattered inch by inch. In an instant, the 2 divine lightning cauldrons appeared. The destructive power of the thunderbolts made one's hair stand on end. Rumble. The earth-shattering purple thunderbolts fell, and the entire world was filled with sharp sonic booms. Roar. From between Du Xiaofu's eyebrows, a resplendent silver-gold arc of lightning shot out, transforming into a huge golden ape. Its sparkling and translucent body was wrapped in multicolored light and lightning. As the lightning and thunder roared around its body, its aura was like the beginning of the world, able to sweep through all directions and suppress everything as it pounced towards Emo Sha. Du Xiaofu activated his meridian soul red pheasant monkey's body and used all his strength to block Moksha's evil demon primordial spirit. Chapter 2010. Spiritual Lightning. The 9 demon emperors' gaze locked onto Du Xiaofu's crimson demonic monkey form. When he sensed the aura of multiple bolts of spiritual lightning, his enormous eyes surged with demonic energy. His eyes blazed with desire as he sent a claw forward to block the attack. The demonic claw tore through the air, sending demonic light into the heavens. It was as if numerous demonic stars were spinning within it. Crackle. Suddenly, a boundless, fiendish aura of darkness swirled through the air. Boundless, it surged forward like a tidal wave, strangely colliding with the demonic claw. Surprisingly, it was able to block the 9 demon emperors' roiling demonic energy. Noiselessly, an elegant man in long, lavender robes appeared. His long, flowing hair flowed down his back like flowing water. He was so handsome that all the women present couldn't help but stare at him. It's Jiangchen. Du Xiaoman and Du Yunlong were flabbergasted. They hadn't sensed how Jiangchen had disappeared. Jiangchen's defense had caused Du Xiaofu's crimson demonic monkey form to pause for a moment. Then, without hesitation, he pounced on Moksha. You can't stop me with just this. Moksha's eyes widened. He formed a hand seal, and dazzling, golden-purple lightning swept out from the divine lightning cauldron, blocking Du Xiaofu's crimson demonic monkey form. At the same time, it continued to bombard the bottomless abyss with golden-purple lightning. Golden-purple lightning was enough to annihilate all living things. But Du Xiaofu's crimson demonic monkey form was an exception. Du Xiaofu's bloodline spirit was formed from the mysterious blood essence of Du Xiaoyao's true body. His nascent soul had also been refined by golden-purple lightning, so it didn't fear golden-purple lightning at all. Dazzling arcs of lightning surged. Du Xiaofu's crimson demonic monkey form charged into the golden-purple lightning to block the divine lightning cauldron with all its might. At the same time, within the vast demonic aura, the 9 demon emperors' eyes rippled with astonishment as he stared intently at Jiangchen. The purple-robed man's aura was far too complex, and even he found it difficult to see through him. A wisp of primordial spirit. It's at the Saint Realm, and it doesn't seem to have recovered yet. Jiangchen also stared at the 9th demon emperor. His deep, dark eyes flashed with surprise, then surprise. His gaze rippled as if he were contemplating something. Those who block me shall die. His demonic chi surged, and a dazzling demonic light swept towards Jiangchen. You can't kill me, Jiangchen said. His voice was calm, but it was filled with arrogance. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved his hand, and an endless amount of black murderous aura swirled around him. Immediately, it collided with the 9 demon emperors. Kill! The 9th demon emperor roared. Demonic energy covered the sky, causing the void to shatter. It was as if numerous demonic stars were falling from the sky as they shot towards Jiangchen. Not enough. Jiangchen growled. His hair stood on end, and his handsome face suddenly looked somewhat sinister. Black murderous aura transformed into a giant fist, terrifying to the extreme. It smashed apart the demonic stars one by one. Arrogant brat. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The 9th demon emperor's cold voice rang out. Demonic energy, accompanied by saintly might, solidified the void and transformed into a demonic void sword. It slashed towards Jiangchen, shattering the void. Roar! A thunderous roar came from Jiangchen's mouth. His body glowed with light, and in an instant, he transformed into a 100-meter-long beast. Golden fur covered his entire body, and his eyes were as red as cinnabar. His entire body was covered in scales, and his claws were like curved hooks. His teeth were like sharp blades, and his cold light was terrifying. The stench of blood filled the air. Rip! The beast waved its claws, tearing the void apart. Black murderous aura filled the sky, and terrifying red smoke burned the void. It directly shattered the demonic void sword. This kind of confrontation was shocking. Golden Hair Howl. When such a vicious beast appeared in the sky, everyone was shocked. Some of the elders couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Jiangchen has the body of a zombie. Imo Ruzin was astonished. He was such a handsome man, the most beautiful man in the world. She didn't expect him to be such a ferocious and terrifying zombie. He's no ordinary zombie. He's already a golden hair howl. The beautiful woman next to Imo Runin couldn't help but look astonished. She said, "Zombies are divided into flesh zombies, waking zombies, walking zombies, purple zombies, white zombies, green zombies, hairy zombies, and flying zombies. Jiangchen has already become a golden hair howl. Rumor has it that a golden hair howl can kill dragons and swallow clouds. Everywhere it goes, it's 1,000 li of land turned red. It really lives up to its reputation." Golden hair howl. Imo Runin's eyes trembled. She had heard of the legends of the golden hair howl, but to the Imo clan, one of the 9 great clans, the golden hair howl was nothing more than a legend. She hadn't thought that a golden hair howl would appear in front of her. Its terrifying strength made her tremble inwardly. I understand now. When Dragon One retreated, it wasn't because he was afraid of the Imo clan or the Farmers clan. It was because of Jiangchen. Although Jiangchen didn't make a move, Dragon One felt fear. The beautiful woman suddenly smiled bitterly. She was completely sure why Dragon One had retreated not long ago. She had originally thought that Dragon One was afraid of her and the Farmers clan elder and didn't want both sides to suffer. Later, when she saw the strength of the 5 dragon guards in Dragon One, she had her suspicions. At this moment, the beautiful woman finally understood that Long Yi had been afraid of this mysterious Jiangchen, and definitely not of her or that village elder. Rumble. Roar. In an instant, Jiangchen and the 9 demon emperors fiercely fought. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit and the body of a crimson monkey exploded in the midst of the purple-gold profound lightning. The sky cracked and the earth cracked. Demonic chi and lightning intertwined. It was as if the world was about to collapse. It was as if doomsday had arrived. At this moment, Shanglong Saint appeared particularly miserable. Roar. Amidst the purple-gold profound lightning that filled the sky, Shanglong Saint had no choice but to be blasted out of his body. His huge dragon body stretched across the sky, but he couldn't escape the purple-gold profound lightning cauldron that continued to expand. With Du Xiaofu's current cultivation and dense killing intent, the purple-gold profound lightning cauldron's power was terrifying. The sudden arrival of the devil religion and the voice and demonic chi from the bottomless abyss allowed Du Xiaofu to confirm that this was the place the heavenly wood divine tree had said was suppressing the primordial spirit of a powerful demon emperor. In order to prevent that demon from escaping, Du Xiaofu activated the purple-gold profound lightning cauldron. He planned to use the purple-gold profound lightning cauldron to quickly deal with the half-saint dragons. Rumble. Thunder rumbled as purple-gold profound lightning covered the sky. Arcs of lightning dazzled the world. The sky rumbled as purple-gold profound lightning crashed down. It was as if heavenly lightning had descended, dyeing the world into a sea of lightning that spewed out divine light. Under such terrifying destructive lightning, the sky was about to be overturned and everything was destroyed. Roar. Roar. The miserable Shanglong Saint had long since stepped into the half-saint realm. He was one of the few experts in the world, but at this moment, he was howling endlessly under the purple-gold profound lightning cauldron. Chapter 2011. Ka Ka. The dragon scales on Shanglong Saint's body dimmed and cracked. His flesh was exposed, and dragon blood splattered everywhere. His body seemed to be crumbling inch by inch. Shanglong Saint used all his strength and activated the secret arts of the dragons. He also activated several treasures that were not inferior to the coiling dragon war god armor and the heavenly dragon cover. However, he was still unable to withstand the violent lightning. Puchi. Shanglong Saint spat out a mouthful of blood. The dragon blood in his mouth was like a torrential rain. Under the bombardment of the lightning, his flesh was lacerated and his bones were exposed. It was a tragic sight. A dignified sage, to be expert, was being ravaged like a dying snake at this moment. Shanglong Saint saw Du Xiaofu being killed and knew that Du Xiaofu had the spiritual lightning and the divine lightning cauldron. However, he did not think that this human in front of him truly had the ability to contend against him. This confidence came from his pride in his bloodline of the dragons. It also came from his disdain for being a half-saint. Even if he could not kill this human, he did not believe that this human could do anything to him. However, the pitiful Shanglong Saint did not think that his rage would affect his judgment. Perhaps if Saint Shanglong calmed down and faced Du Xiaofu's sword, he would understand that he wouldn't be able to gain the upper hand with his half-saint cultivation. Long Yi had the true dragon blood essence and the true dragon saint slaying blade. He was at the pinnacle of the undying and indestructible realm and a nirvana realm expert. With such cultivation and strength, he could only protect himself. However, Long Yi was already killed. How could Shanglong Saint gain the upper hand, let alone kill Du Xiaofu? However, Shanglong Saint was not completely blinded by rage. He thought that even if he could not kill Du Xiaofu, he still had the ability to protect himself. Shanglong Saint had been a half-saint for a long time. In this world, even a true saint expert would have to put in a lot of effort to stop him. Below the saint realm, if Shanglong wanted to leave, who would be able to stop him? However, Shanglong Saint was too unlucky. Du Xiaofu directly used the purple lightning profound cauldron, making it impossible for him to escape even if he wanted to. Otherwise, even if Du Xiaofu tried his best, it would be impossible for him to stop Shanglong Saint from leaving. Oh! The Shanglong Saint shook his head and waved his tail, shattering the void. He was burning his own dragon blood, using his own body as the price. He had chosen his own path of destruction, but he still couldn't break free from the purple lightning profound cauldron's restraint. The dragon scales on his body were constantly shattered, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Even his saint aura couldn't withstand the destructive lightning strikes. "You can't trap me! You can't trap me!" Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky above the battlefield. Amidst the violent shaking and cracking of the bottomless cliff, sinister laughter accompanied by monstrous devil Chi was about to overturn the bottomless abyss. Walala! Within the bottomless abyss, resplendent electric arcs rippled. They carried an extremely hot aura as they silently spread through the void. But if one looked closely, one would realize that the bright electric arcs were actually a very special kind of flame. The flame was burning, and there were traces of a vacuum in the surrounding void. It seemed ordinary, but the stronger one was, the more terrifying the mysterious and bright flame was. The mysterious flame had unknowingly spread throughout the bottomless abyss. It was burning and boiling, illuminating the void, revealing a vast world above it. Ancient lands, broken boulders, huge pits, broken valleys, broken peaks, and huge skeletons lying across the land. Buzz, buzz. In the scene that was illuminated by the void, there were many sabers, spears, swords, and halberds shuttling through the void, making the sound of wind and thunder. Oh my God, that's an ancient battlefield with many treasures left behind. Seeing this strange scene, some living beings exclaimed. They had come here and waited for so long in the myriad spirit burial domain to find treasures and obtain the legendary inheritance left behind by the Almighty. This ancient battlefield has been sealed. I don't know where it is. The beautiful woman leading the Mo clan muttered. As the divine thunder cauldron appeared, the strange scene floated in the air, and such a voice came from an unknown place. It resounded in the void, and the voice was as melodious as an ancient bell. Rumble. As the melodious voice fell, flames began to surge out from the cracks in the huge rock walls of the bottomless abyss like electric arcs. The entire bottomless abyss suddenly became bright, and there was a kind of scarlet blue light wrapped around it. It was like a volcano overflowing with lava, covering the entire bottomless abyss. The mysterious runes on the talismans fluctuated, bringing with them an ancient power. This kind of power was silent, and there were not many fluctuations. However, in the silence, the living beings present felt their spiritual artifacts and Tao artifacts burning for no reason, as if they were about to fuse with their bodies. Their bodies also felt like they were about to spontaneously combust, and there was a terrifying temperature quietly rising in their bodies. This strange temperature was even stranger than the devil chi corroding the soul. Be careful. An old man felt this terrifying temperature, and his face immediately changed in shock. He shouted loudly, reminding the disciples beside him to be careful. Rumble. Inside Emo Shah's divine thunder cauldron, purple gold profound lightning that blotted out the sky and covered the earth poured into the bottomless abyss at the same time. The purple lightning crashed into the strange scarlet-blue electric flames, corroding and destroying the resplendent talisman runes. Roar. Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit crimson horse monkey's body resisted with all its strength. It erupted with resplendent lightning, turning into the huge lightning turtle and lightning tree, but it could not stop all the purple gold profound lightning from pouring into the bottomless abyss. Boom! Dongli Qingqing made her move, and a dazzling green light burst out. The mysterious aura on her body was raised to the extreme, and she continued to resist the purple gold profound lightning with Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit crimson horse monkey's body. However, the effect was not great. Kiki, you can't trap me anymore. The sinister voice continued to ring out, and devil chi poured out from the scarlet blue flames. The entire world was rumbling, and the mountains were shaking. Kill. This scene made Du Xiaofu frown, and his expression was extremely solemn. He used all his strength, and wanted to kill Shanglong Saint as quickly as possible. The item that was suppressing the Devil Emperor's primordial spirit under the cliff seemed to be able to be destroyed by the purple thunder cauldron. He had to stop Moksha. Rumble. Resplendent and destructive purple lightning burst out from the purple thunder cauldron. This lightning energy was like a dazzling purple gold firework, bursting into the sky. Shanglong Saint spat out another mouthful of blood. His huge dragon body dimmed, and he was dripping with blood. His skin and flesh were torn open, and it was a tragic sight. Little bastard, I will not let you go. You will pay the price. Chapter 2012. Shanglong Saint was already in a desperate situation. He could already feel the aura of death as fear spread out from the depths of his dragon soul. This fear quickly turned into a monstrous hatred in Shanglong Saint's heart. An even more resplendent light surged out from his bloody dragon body. In an instant, Shanglong Saint's aura, which was already on the verge of being annihilated, suddenly rose again at a terrifying speed. The power on his dragon body surged, making him look even more ferocious and terrifying. Not good. Shanglong Saint is going to self-destruct. Such words came out from the mouths of many creatures in the sky at the same time. Oh no, this is not good. The expressions of the old experts of the Mo family in the farmer's village changed drastically. The self-detonation of the Shanglong Saint, who was at the half-step saint realm, at the cost of his own life, was far more powerful than when he was at his peak. He was going all out against Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu also narrowed his eyes at this moment. He had long been on guard against Shanglong Saint's self-destruction in the end. Therefore, Du Xiaofu wanted to use the full power of the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron to kill Shanglong Saint at lightning speed. However, the result surprised Du Xiaofu. Shanglong Saint was not weaker than the Earth Demon Envoy. Shanglong Saint was an old dragon who had cultivated for many years. He had many secret techniques of dragons and was a descendant of the true dragon. He was actually able to resist the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron for a long time. If not for the fact that his strength had improved a lot recently, Du Xiaofu felt that the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron would not be able to keep Shanglong Saint here. Suppress. Facing Shanglong Saint's self-destruction, Du Xiaofu had no choice but to use the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron to suppress him. This was also the worst-case scenario that Du Xiaofu had already predicted. Since he had already made his move, he had to get rid of this old dragon today no matter what. Otherwise, it would take a lot of effort to get rid of this old dragon after the Sage Realm experts set foot on the Heavenly Devil battlefield. Inside the Purple Lightning Profound Cauldron, mysterious lightning runes shone brightly and rumbled non-stop. A waterfall of purple gold profound lightning shot towards Shanglong Saint with great destructive power. Little bastard, do you think you can still suppress this saint? Let's die together, huh? Saint Shanglong's laughter was monstrous. In an instant, his chi and dragon aura were even more intense than when he was at his peak. It was as if he had already reached the saint realm. He resisted the full power of the purple lightning profound cauldron and laughed wildly. I have already lived for so long, but a little bastard like you has no hope. Today, I will bury you with me. I will solve the problem of the dragons. When these words were spoken, Shanglong Saint's aura also swelled to the peak. The light was bright, and the dragon's might surged. Under everyone's trembling gazes, the light was so bright that it engulfed the huge dragon's body. Amidst the purple-gold lightning that filled the sky, it rose like a sun and finally exploded. The sound of heavenly thunder reverberated in the sky, covering the sound of thunder, rumble. Heaven and earth trembled, and energy surged, tearing the sky apart. Terrifying, terrifying. The monstrous energy and purple-gold lightning were like thousands of divine chains that swept in all directions, piercing through the sky and causing the universe to riot. Boom. The entire ancient world was in chaos, revealing a vacuum. Chaotic energy surged in the vacuum, creating a terrifying scene. Then the world became blurry, and nothing could be seen. Not far away, Moksha, Dongli Qingqing, and the Redbone Horse Monkey were fighting, as well as the battle between Jiangshan and the 9 Demon Emperor's primordial spirits were affected. Bang, 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 bang. Below them, the cliffs, the earth, and the mountains all exploded with rumbling sounds. The creatures in the distance were affected and coughed up blood. It's too terrifying. It's like the destruction of heaven and earth. The self-detonation of those dragons half-sage experts probably wouldn't dare to be careless. Will the Demon King and Du Xiaofu be able to withstand it? Those dragons half-sage are willing to sacrifice their own lives to drag the Demon King and Du Xiaofu down with them. How ruthless! In the chaotic sky, all living beings trembled. Some of them were anxious, some of them looked grave, and most of them were dumbfounded. The explosion caused Moksha and the 9 Demon Emperor's primordial spirits to secretly spy on the chaotic space. Dongli Qingqing was wrapped in green light, and her pale, delicate face was extremely solemn. Du Xiaoman, Du Yunlong, and Mie Ming King all clenched their fists, anxiously looking up at the sky. After a good while, everyone could see everything clearly in the sky. There was a divine lightning cauldron rotating, and its radiance was somewhat dim. The resplendent purple-gold lightning around the divine lightning cauldron had also quietly disappeared in the explosion, leaving only a dense purple thundercloud under the divine lightning cauldron. Not good. The Demon King and Du Xiaofu wouldn't have met with a calamity, right? Someone cried out in alarm. The divine lightning cauldron had dimmed, and there was no trace of the Demon King and Du Xiaofu. The self-detonation of the dragon's half-sage expert had probably dragged the Demon King and Du Xiaofu down with him, no matter how strong he was. The thundercloud dissipated, revealing a faint golden radiance. It was as if something was expanding, sweeping away the purple thundercloud. He's not dead. The Demon King and Du Xiaofu aren't dead. Suddenly, everyone's gaze trembled as if they had been electrocuted. Under everyone's gaze, a pair of golden wings wrapped in a cocoon slowly unfolded within the purple thundercloud. However, at this moment, the golden wings were dim, and the feathers were broken. Only 36 of the most dazzling golden feathers were still suffused with a faint radiance. Within the golden wings, Du Xiaofu's golden armor figure was revealed, but at this moment, the feathers were broken, the radiance was dim, and his hair was messy. PFFF. The moment the Daping's golden wings were completely unfolded, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of golden blood. The cyan spirit armor on his body was withdrawn in an instant, and his purple robe was tattered. His flesh was broken, and fresh blood was flowing out from the inside out. The aura on his body was almost in disorder. Swish! His figure fell down the cliff like a bird, accompanied by the sprinkling of fresh blood. However, at the last moment of landing, Du Xiaofu grasped the purple-gold heavenly fault in his hand tightly and stabbed it into the cliff. Du Xiaofu knelt on one knee, exhausted. The purple-gold heavenly fault sank into the ground, and large cracks spread out in all directions. Keep! Du Xiaofu fell, and immediately kept the purple thunder profound cauldron into his body. Moksha was controlling the other purple thunder profound cauldron, and he couldn't let anything happen to it. Drip, drip, drip. Blood dripped from his mouth and body. Du Xiaofu was extremely weak at this moment, and his face was frighteningly pale. Shanglong Saint's self-destruction was too strong. The power of his self-destruction was the terrifying power of a true saint. It impacted the purple thunder profound cauldron, but in the end, that terrifying power also impacted Du Xiaofu's body. Chapter 2013. Du Xiaofu's mind was connected to the purple thunder profound cauldron. Although the Shanglong Saint had self-destructed in the cauldron, the impact of the explosion had also affected Du Xiaofu. This kind of impact was even more intense than the external impact. Not only did it cause the Great Peng Golden Wings, the Blue Spirit Armor, the Indestructible Xian Body, and the Golden-Winged Great Peng Race's body transformation technique to the True Peng realm to be unable to display their strongest defensive abilities, it also caused Du Xiaofu's mind to be impacted. Fortunately, the Purple Thunder Profound Cauldron had resisted a great deal of the power. Although Du Xiaofu's defenses and his powerful physical body were unable to display the strongest defensive effect, they were still the strongest cornerstone. Although he had resisted the attack, he had paid an extremely heavy price. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's injuries were too severe. He had almost no battle power left. Boom! At the same time, the bottomless abyss rumbled endlessly. The vast cliff had completely exploded. Giant rocks covered in crimson-blue flames rushed out. Heaven fell, and earth cracked. It was as if a demon was wailing. The sky was collapsing. The bottomless abyss was collapsing. Demonic energy and crimson-blue flames intertwined, shaking violently. This was a scene of heaven and earth collapsing. Rubble and dust swept up into the sky. This scene was very terrifying. Everything in sight was destroyed. The impact was many times more ferocious than when the Shanglong Saint had self-destructed. Large swaths of the void turned into chaos. It was impossible to see through. Everywhere was black. Heaven and earth were cracking. It was very frightening and shocking. Retreat, quickly. Even though the living beings in the surrounding area had already retreated far enough, the elders' expression still changed drastically in the face of this terrifying shockwave, and they immediately retreated with the disciples beside them. Moksha, Dongli Qingqing, the 9 demon emperors' primordial spirit, and Jiangxin, who were fighting fiercely, were also violently impacted. They had no choice but to retreat. Not good. Du Xiaofu looked up. The primordial spirit's crimson monkey body in the air shone brightly. It turned into a silver-gold arc of lightning and instantly returned to the mud-pill palace between his eyebrows. Its withered aura recovered by a lot. The golden rock wings on its back, Du Xiaofu rapidly retreated. Walala! At the bottom of the bottomless abyss, the ancient land reflected in the sky. Shattered boulders, huge pits, broken valleys, broken mountains, and huge skeletons that stretched across the land gradually became clearer. Buzz, buzz. In the void, there were many sabers, spears, swords, and halberds shuttling through the void, making the sound of wind and thunder. Buzz. Sensing the saber, spear, sword, and halberd that pierced through the void, the purple-gold heavenly tower let out a rumbling sound. Light shone brightly, as if it was boiling. If Du Xiaofu had not forcefully suppressed it, it would have long since left his hands and been devoured. Kikik. A sinister and wild laughter reverberated endlessly across the ancient land. Demonic chi permeated the void, and in an instant, the world seemed to darken. A ball of enormous black shadow floated into appearance in midair. It was like a black sun that was boundlessly grand, and it was suffused with a type of soul-stealing devilish chi. Within the demonic chi, a black figure stood tall with a terrifying aura. The black figure's black eyes were like 2 black holes in the void. The black holes were filled with killing intent, and the scene of blood flowing, corpses strewn across the land, and all living beings wailing in agony appeared. It was extremely terrifying. The black figure stood tall in midair, and the black hole-like eyes stared at Du Xiaofu. Being stared at by the black hole-like eyes, Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit, The red pheasant monkey, in his mind, trembled. It was as if his spiritual soul was about to be sucked into the boundless black hole and be buried in it. Great demon, you were suppressed in the previous battle. If you want to stir up trouble again, I'm afraid you won't be able to escape the fate of the 5 elements demon emperor. The melodious sound of an ancient bell rang out, and the melodious sound carried a type of ancient destructive intent as it resounded through the void. When the sound rang out, Du Xiaofu's body quivered. He immediately recovered from the influence that he had just suffered. He could not help but shudder. He was afraid that he had almost been killed. Hee, Hualezi, do you think that dragon and the master of the 3,000 great worlds can still come in? This time, no one can stop us. The black shadow sneered. As he spoke, a black pillar of light immediately swept out. It was accompanied by the wails of countless living beings. It seemed to carry all the hatred and murderous aura in the world as it fell towards Du Xiaofu. Rumble. The spiritual thunder exploded, and lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The light shuttled through the dark void. At the same time, the purple-golden heavenly palace in Du Xiaofu's hand burst out. He gritted his teeth and slashed at the black beam of light. So, it's you. You seem to be very weak. These words came out from the mouth of the black figure. The murderous intent in his eyes was sharp and fierce. The rolling jet-black light pillar seemed to have come from the demonic domain, destroying Du Xiaofu's spiritual thunder and obliterating the sword light. Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of blood. His physical body was cracking, and his divine soul was trembling. Under the terrifying demonic qi, Du Xiaofu's divine soul was about to collapse. If it were not for the spiritual thunder, spiritual root, and the mysterious incomplete cultivation method in his body, his divine soul would have been destroyed in an instant. You don't have the right to be arrogant. An ancient and melodious voice rang out. At this moment, the space around Du Xiaofu suddenly changed. Suddenly, the mysterious crimson-blue flames descended. Heaven and earth resonated with it. An ancient will of desolation and destruction filled the air. In the mysterious crimson-blue flame, the mighty and turbulent power stirred up stormy waves and swept directly toward the black beam of light. Chi-la-la, under the crimson-blue flame. It contained the power to destroy all living beings. It seemed to be accompanied by a faint sound of thunder. Under this terrifying power, the black beam of light collapsed inch by inch until it reached the black figure like the black sun. Humph! The black figure standing in the void let out a muffled groan. Fire lightning seed, let's wait and see. The voice was sinister and somewhat unwilling, but then the huge black figure turned into a black fog and disappeared in the void. Let's go. Moksha looked at Du Xiaofu from afar and left with the purple thunder profound cauldron and the 9 demon emperor's primordial spirit. Du Xiaofu spat out the last mouthful of blood. His vision turned black, and he could no longer support himself. He fell to the ground, and the golden rock wings on his back retracted. Wong! The purple-gold heavenly tower roared, but it did not sweep toward the circling sabers, spears, swords, and halberds. Instead, it circled around Du Xiaofu as if it was protecting him. What a strange kid. Thunder Martial Vein, Divine Thunder Cauldron, is it you? A melodious voice like an ancient bell sounded. From the void, crimson-blue flames seeped out and lingered toward Du Xiaofu. Sizzle. Suddenly, the purple-gold heavenly tower was destroyed. From the sword body, a majestic energy swept out and turned into a dazzling sword radiance, slashing toward the crimson-blue flames. Within the crimson-blue flames, a cry of surprise was heard. Chapter 2014. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. However, at the same time, a brilliant scarlet-blue flame erupted and destroyed the sword light. Then, it enveloped the heavenly palace of purple gold and Du Xiaofu. In a short instant, Du Xiaofu and the heavenly palace of purple gold disappeared at the same time. Everything happened too quickly, so quickly that Dongli Qingqing, Du Xiaoman, Du Yunlong, and the others could not react or stop it. The primordial spirit of the 9 demon emperor, that terrifying demonic figure, and Moksha all left. Du Xiaofu, and the heavenly palace of purple gold also disappeared. This ancient heaven and earth fell into a strange silence. Buzz, buzz. The sabers, spears, swords, and halberds that pierced through the void exploded with light. They sounded like wind and thunder in the void. Then, they also left in all directions. They're all treasures. Seize the treasures. Some living beings came back to their senses and looked at the sabers, spears, swords, and halberds that pierced through the void. Their eyes immediately blazed. Those were all precious treasures. In an instant, the eyes of all the living beings present surged with a scarlet-red color. One figure after another immediately pounced out with a fiery passion. On this ancient battlefield, there was an irresistible temptation. There were treasures everywhere. One figure after another rushed to the ancient battlefield, afraid that they would fall behind others. These bones are mine. Who dares to snatch them? A giant beast that looked like a bear and a wolf, its aura surging. It stared at a huge beast skeleton and felt that the huge beast skeleton contained a huge amount of energy. That was the secret of the bones. As long as the bones were not destroyed, they would obtain endless fortunes. Evil creature. The figure of a skinny old man appeared. A 2-finger-wide narrow sword erupted with a brilliant light. Like a spirit snake coming out of its hole, it pierced through the void and pierced toward the giant beast. He wanted to seize the huge beast skeleton. Screech. Suddenly, dark clouds appeared in the sky. Cries pierced through the clouds, and there was a bright scarlet flame. A giant red eagle that looked like it was bathed in a sea of fire reached out with its sharp claws and grabbed at a dazzling spear that was about to disappear into the void. Old flame bird, this treasure is not suitable for you. At the same time, a giant black ape appeared. It reached out with one hand and directly grabbed that dazzling spear. Damn monkey, you're courting death. The giant eagle's gaze suddenly became sharp, and a cold light gushed out. As it flapped its wings, the monstrous flames turned into stormy waves that engulfed the giant black ape. Bang, 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 bang. All of a sudden, the creatures began to fight, and a great battle broke out. Buzz. In the void, there was a bell the size of a palm. It emitted a sonorous light, and the sound waves were like a tangible waterfall, directly shattering the figures of several creatures that were pouncing towards it. Not good. This bell is too scary. There were also creatures that rushed over who sucked in a cold breath of air, all of them retreating. This bell was actually this terrifying. A graceful figure appeared near the bell. Her skin was as white as snow, and the starlight in her eyes fluctuated. Her elegant and noble temperament made people feel ashamed of their inferiority. No one dared to make a move against her. The leader of the farmers' clan's younger generation, the Nirvana paragon Zhou Xiaoluo, was not someone that anyone dared to provoke. It's a saint artifact. A slightly surprised voice sounded out. A woman with slender legs and a curvaceous figure wearing tight clothes appeared not far away. She looked at the dazzling bell, and her eyes fluctuated. The saint artifact has a spirit, and the fated one will get it. How about it? The woman in tight clothes smiled at Zhou Xiaoluo. Her fiery figure carried a valiant beauty, and her entire person revealed a kind of wild beauty. Then let's do as Miss Emo says, the fated one will get it. Zhou Xiaoluo smiled. Her voice was soft, and her beautiful eyes shone. As her voice fell, a faint yellow light gushed out from her body, like a ray of auspicious light, and she walked towards the bell. Seeing this, Emo Runin formed a hand seal, and a great force suddenly surrounded her curvaceous figure. She twisted the void with one hand and pressed towards the bell. Buzz. The bell vibrated, and in a flash, a dazzling talisman exploded, and in a flash, it transformed into an ancient bell that was 100 zhang long. The 100 zhang long bell's light illuminated the void, and there were mysterious images of the sun, the moon, and the stars densely covering the void. A terrifying force caused the sky to shake, and it condensed into a substantial energy wave that twisted the void. A terrifying chi swept across the void, and it pressed towards Emo Runin. Emo Runin's beautiful face changed drastically. She formed a hand seal and immediately shot out a palm. That palm was also terrifying, and there were dazzling talismans rushing out, as if it controlled the entire space. It collided with the energy of the bell, causing the void to tremble. "Please follow the farmer's clan's younger generation home." Those words came out of Zhou Xiaoluo's mouth, and her voice was like the sound of nature. She did not attack, and she directly walked towards the terrifying bell. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The bell rumbled, and its sound was sorrowful and filled with vicissitudes of life, causing the hearts of those who heard it to be filled with sorrow. Soon after, it descended from the void and landed on the ground, and sat on top of a pile of bones. It then revolved around a skeleton, and its sound was like a mournful wail. On top of the pile of bones, there was a pure white skeleton, and it did not dissipate even after tens of thousands of years. It sat cross-legged, and there were still fragments of a tattered robe on its body. On the left side of its chest, there was a palm-sized hole, as if it had been pierced by someone when it was still alive. "The farmer's clan's younger generation has come to welcome the remains of our ancestor." Zhou Xiaoluo's beautiful figure landed on the ground, and she respectfully knelt in front of the skeleton. Her beautiful face was solemn and respectful. "The farmer's clan's younger generation has come to welcome the remains of our ancestor." In the farmer's house, the old man in the lead landed in front of the skeleton and looked at it. Lightning flashed in his eyes, and he knelt respectfully on the ground. Behind the old man, there were many strong cultivators and disciples of the farmer's clan who were kneeling on the ground, and their expressions were solemn and respectful. Buzz, buzz. The huge bell rang, and it turned into the size of a palm again, and circled around Zhou Xiaoluo. Mo Runan looked at the scene in front of her, and her face was filled with astonishment. That is the ancestor of the farmer's clan who died in the heavenly devil battlefield. In that battle, countless ancestors were killed, and they used their lives to stop that calamity. The leading beautiful woman from the Mo family stood behind Mo Runan, and her eyes were filled with emotions. Hearing this, Mo Runan landed on the ground, bowed to the skeleton from afar, and then flew away. Bang, bang, bang. On this ancient battlefield, talismans and mysterious runes shone brightly, and various battles caused the void to rumble and distort. The energy was boiling, and it was as if flames were burning. There were people who constantly spat out blood, and beasts fell from the sky. Such a battle lasted for a full day before it completely ended. However, the dust had not completely settled, and many people who had obtained treasures were surrounded. Among them, the Mo family, the farmer's clan, and the desolate country had obtained most of the treasures, but no one dared to surround them. The ancient mountain peak was filled with mottled traces of the ancient battle. It should be related to that flame. That is the flame that suppressed that evil demon. It is highly possible that he took him away. Chapter 2015. Said Jiangchen. His handsome face and deep eyes made it difficult to imagine the connection between him and the golden growler. Will third brother be in danger? We must find him. Du Xiaoman was worried, her brows furrowed. They had already searched many places, but had found nothing. The senior who suppressed the demon should have no ill intentions toward Xiaofu, but we must find him. His injuries are very serious. Dongli Qingqing said. Her pale face had regained some color. The Fong family's cultivation method was extraordinary in terms of recovery. Let's split up and search the battlefield, said Zhou Xiaoluo. The people from the School of Agriculture were also with the Huang country at the moment. Don't worry. That guy is very lucky. He'll be fine. Mo Runan stood beside Du Xiaoman. One was wild and valiant, while the other was hot and alluring. Many young people couldn't help but take a second look at them. When Du Xiaofu regained consciousness, his entire body was in pain and his head was still a little dizzy. But he immediately leapt to his feet. The heavenly palace of purple and gold vibrated as it circled in front of Du Xiaofu. Looking at the heavenly palace of purple and gold, Du Xiaofu's heart calmed down a little. He looked around. This was an ancient cave. It was not small. Stalactites of various shapes hung from the ceiling, strangely suffused with a red and blue arc of electricity. Under the senses of the red pheasant monkey's primordial spirit, Du Xiaofu could sense that the entire cave was filled with a fiery aura of destruction. This aura seemed to be similar to the spiritual lightning on his body, but it was not the aura of spiritual lightning. Du Xiaofu was on guard. He remembered that before he fainted, he seemed to have been saved by a ball of red and blue fire. That aura was very similar to the one in the cave. "Kid, you're awake?" Suddenly, a voice rang out from within the quiet cave. The voice did not seem to be very old, but it contained an ancient aura that seemed to come from ancient times. "Who is it?" Du Xiaofu's consciousness instantly probed. This person approached him silently, and he actually did not sense anything at all. He held the purple gold heavenly fault in his hand. "Don't be so nervous, kid. If I wanted to kill you, I would have done so long ago. Why now?" As the voice rang out, under Du Xiaofu's astonished gaze, a cluster of palm-sized flames appeared on a rock not far away. This cluster of palm-sized flame was scarlet blue and crystal clear. It was extremely resplendent and appeared to be slowly rising. It squirmed out from the rock like a cluster of scarlet blue gemstones. Traces of scarlet blue magma-like flame ripples revolved around it and continuously flowed. The appearance of such a cluster of flames gave off an extremely strange feeling. Upon closer inspection, it was accompanied by red and blue electric arcs. What shocked Du Xiaofu even more was that when this cluster of crystal-clear flames appeared, the temperature of the entire cave suddenly rose to an extremely terrifying level. This aura was ancient and destructive, causing the void to distort. At some point in time, arcs of electricity had already begun to shuttle through the walls and ceiling of the cave. Buzz buzz. When the scarlet blue flames appeared, the purple gold heavenly fault also rumbled and erupted with sword light. "It's that flame." Du Xiaofu's eyes were fixed on the scarlet blue flames. Back then, the Almighty who had suppressed the strongest demon emperor's soul seemed to have something to do with this scarlet blue flame. Just as Du Xiaofu was pondering, ripples like electric arcs appeared in the sparkling scarlet blue flames. Space distorted, and then a human figure slowly walked out, appearing in front of Du Xiaofu's astonished gaze. This figure had a face that seemed to be over 50 years old. His round face did not show any signs of age. Instead, it seemed extremely radiant. The old man had long scarlet red hair and wore a loose blue robe. His abdomen bulged so much that the robe was almost torn apart. He was like a Maitreya Buddha. Not a bad sword. The embryo of a divine weapon is both good and evil. This is the first time I've seen it. When the old man appeared, his gaze landed on Du Xiaofu's purple gold heavenly fault. His eyes were deep, and the more one looked at them, the more ancient they felt. "Senior," Du Xiaofu suppressed the trembling purple gold heavenly fault in his hand and looked at the old man as he spoke. "What senior? You're just an old fart. It would be fine if you were really dead, but you're not dead and have encountered this great calamity." The old man interrupted Du Xiaofu. He looked at Du Xiaofu with his deep, ancient eyes, as if he could see through Du Xiaofu with a single glance. His round face seemed to always have a smile as he said, "Lightning veins, multiple types of spiritual lightning. The strangest thing is that you cultivate the cultivation method of the golden-winged rocks. You're clearly a human, but even your blood and bones are similar to those of the rocks. Strange, truly strange." The old man's voice was ancient and melodious. He had a chubby figure, a round face, and slightly curved eyebrows. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "Back then, the people of this world called me Master Huolei Laozu. Since you have lightning veins, there's no mistaking it. I am Huolei Laozu." "Master Huolei Laozu, could it be that you are the senior who suppressed the Devil King's origin soul?" Du Xiaofu's heart fiercely trembled. When the Devil King's origin soul escaped, he mentioned the name Master Huolei Laozu. This old man called himself Master Huolei Laozu, so he was the expert who suppressed the strongest Devil King's origin soul. At this moment, how could Du Xiaofu not be shaken? According to the heavenly wood divine tree, the one who suppressed the strongest Devil King was an almighty expert. What was an almighty expert? Back in the ancient times, only the most famous experts who could dominate the 100 schools contend were qualified to be called almighty. Ordinary peak experts weren't qualified to be called almighty. Master Huolei Laozu glanced at Du Xiaofu and said, "I already said that I'm not a senior. This saint is your ancestor. Brat, are you still not going to greet me? This brat will greet you. Hearing that, Du Xiaofu put away the violet gold heavenly tower. Seeing that Master Huale Laozu was actually someone from his ancestor's generation, he immediately became excited. But just as he was about to greet him, Du Xiaofu's eyes turned slightly. A hint of suspicion appeared in his eyes, and he immediately stopped. Senior, are you from the Du family? Du Xiaofu looked at this person who called himself his ancestor. This old man's figure was illusory, and his aura was the same as the mysterious crimson-blue flame. He was clearly not human. This made Du Xiaofu suspicious. Although he was excited, it didn't affect his judgment. Although I'm not from the Du family, I have some relationship with the Du family, especially with your ancestor. So naturally, I'm your ancestor. Master Huale impatiently glared at Du Xiaofu. Chapter 2016. Du Xiaofu looked at Huale. Was the Du family really that strong back then? If the Du family was really that strong, then they would be at least as strong as the 9 families now. They wouldn't be like back in Stone City, where they couldn't even compare to a 9th-rate force. Senior, if you really are an elder of the Du family, then I should greet you and welcome you back to the Du family. A light flashed in Du Xiaofu's eyes. He paused for a moment and looked at Master Huale. He stuttered and said, "But senior, if I have to greet you, wouldn't I have to? What is it?" "Stop stuttering," said Huale. "Since senior is an elder of the Du family and this is the first time you've met me, then I should greet you. But senior, do you have any greeting gifts? With senior status, you should at least have a saint weapon, saint medicine, or something like that, right?" Du Xiaofu observed Huale. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Huale was stunned. His eyes were a bit blank, and his expression was a bit sluggish. "Kid, I've cultivated for tens of thousands of years. This is the first time I've seen someone like you." After a full breath, Huale carefully looked at Du Xiaofu again. He originally wanted to say that after cultivating for tens of thousands of years, this was the first time he'd seen someone so thick-skinned, but he held himself back. He glared at Du Xiaofu and said, "Do you think saint medicine is candy? You can have it whenever you want. As for saint weapons and whatnot, I have no use for them, so I don't have anything on me. Heavenly treasures are fine too." Du Xiaofu stared at Huale, unwilling to let him go. "I don't have anything on me." Huale glared at Du Xiaofu. Hearing that, Du Xiaofu looked at Huale from head to toe. He was becoming more and more suspicious of his identity. He said, "Senior, are you really an elder of the Du family? Kid, are you doubting me?" Fire Lightning understood. This guy in front of him was doubting him. He didn't believe his identity at all. "There's nothing I can do about it. I don't dare to forget my ancestry, so I can't just casually acknowledge an ancestor." Du Xiaofu couldn't help but be on guard against such an expert who claimed to be an ancestor of the Du clan. "You brat, you're forgetting about your sect right now. Do you believe that I'll slap you to death?" Fire Thunder was so angry that his beard was blowing and his eyes were glaring. However, with his round face and bulging belly, no one could feel his anger. "I know that Senior's cultivation is very high, but I guess that Senior doesn't have much strength left. Otherwise, the Devil Emperor's primordial spirit wouldn't have been able to escape." As these words came out of Du Xiaofu's mouth, a purple electric arc surged out of his palm. Accompanied by a destructive aura, it instantly filled the cave. A palm-sized, 3-legged lightning cauldron immediately hovered above his palm, emitting a rumbling sound of thunder. "Divine Thunder Cauldron?" Fire Lightning glared at Du Xiaofu and said, "Kid, you dare to use the Divine Lightning Cauldron against your ancestor?" "Senior, I don't dare. However, I still have things to do right now, so I won't stay any longer. Senior, we'll meet again if fate allows." Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. He turned around and was about to leave with the purple lightning cauldron. From what he saw before, the seal under the cliff was destroyed by Moksha's purple lightning cauldron. Du Xiaofu guessed that Fire Lightning was afraid of the purple lightning cauldron, and the strongest Devil Emperor's primordial spirit had already escaped. Du Xiaofu guessed that Fire Lightning didn't have much strength left. Otherwise, the Devil Emperor's primordial spirit wouldn't have been able to escape. However, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Du Xiaofu still understood this logic. At this moment, he still couldn't tell whether the other party was a friend or a foe. However, just based on the fact that he was an ancestor of the Du clan, Du Xiaofu didn't believe that the heavens would throw a pie at him. He had to be wary of this fire lightning. Fire lightning was completely stunned. His round face twitched. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He was the dignified fire lightning. Even tens of thousands of years ago, he was strong enough to dominate the world. Back then, even the ancestors of the 9 great clans had to be 90% courteous to him. However, this kid in front of him didn't put him in his eyes. He even took out the divine thunder cauldron. It was obvious that he was threatening him. For fire lightning, this was completely different from what he had imagined. In his imagination, if this kid knew that he was an ancestor of the Du clan, he would definitely greet him excitedly and respectfully. At that time, he would have the final say in everything. Tens of thousands of years ago, if he, fire lightning, were to say that he was an ancestor, countless supreme geniuses would line up to the heavens and kowtow to him respectfully. However, this kid in front of him didn't know how to appreciate favors. Kid, what do I have to do to make you believe me? Looking at Du Xiaofu's back, fire lightning was so angry that he vomited blood. He wanted to slap that guy to death, but he had to grit his teeth and speak. At this moment, he was really afraid of the purple thunder cauldron. Du Xiaofu stopped, turned around, and smiled at fire lightning. He said, "If you want me to believe you, senior, you have to take out a greeting gift, right?" Looking at Du Xiaofu's smile, fire lightning didn't have any blood to vomit. Otherwise, he would have vomited blood already. He really couldn't understand. Back then, the guy from the Du clan was such a dull and boring person. How could this kid from the Du clan be such a pain in the ass? He was simply someone who wouldn't act until he saw a rabbit. How was this recognizing him as an ancestor? He was clearly trying to get benefits. This saint regrets. After a while, fire lightning looked up at the ceiling and sighed. If he knew that this kid would be seriously injured and unconscious, he would have killed him directly. Looking at fire lightning's sigh, Du Xiaofu asked with concern, "Senior, what are you regretting?" Looking at Du Xiaofu's concerned expression, fire lightning's heart was filled with panic. "Kid, if you don't believe that this saint is your ancestor, then forget it. Do you think this saint wants you to recognize me?" Fire lightning was very depressed. He looked at Du Xiaofu and clenched his teeth. However, he soon calmed down. He was the grand fire lightning. How could he be so shameless as to beg this kid to recognize him? If this spread out, then he wouldn't have the face to see anyone in the future. Then, "Senior, let's meet again if fate allows it." Du Xiaofu smiled and turned around to leave. He was more and more convinced that fire lightning was tricking him. If the Du clan really had an ancestor like this, then how could they be in such dire straits? Plus, as an ancestor of the Du clan, this guy couldn't even take out something decent. Who would believe him? "Don't be in such a hurry to leave. We can make a deal." Fire lightning called out to Du Xiaofu and took a deep breath. Chapter 2017. What kind of deal? Du Xiaofu stopped and looked at Master Hualei. He was curious as to what kind of deal such an expert would make with him. "To be honest, I am very weak right now. Your thunder martial vein and a few types of spirit lightning can help me recover at the fastest speed. I need to stay with you for a while," Master Hualei said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked at Master Hualei. His eyes moved slightly and he said, "Then what can I get? After I recover, I will help you stop the calamity from descending." Master Hualei's face was filled with boundless love as he said righteously, "When the calamity descends, no one will be able to escape unscathed." Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and looked at Master Hualei. He said, "The Demon King's soul that escaped seemed to have said that he would not let you go. I think you should prepare yourself. Otherwise, when the Demon King's soul fuses with his body and completely recovers, the unlucky one will be you." Master Hualei stared at Du Xiaofu. At this moment, he really wanted to kill this brat. "Then what do you want?" Master Hualei suppressed his anger and asked Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked at Master Hualei's body, which was slightly illusory. He looked at him from head to toe and said meaningfully, I guess you don't have anything on you. Besides, I don't want to make a deal with you. Let's meet again if fate wills it. After saying that, Du Xiaofu turned around and left without looking back. Only Hua Lei Zizi's round face was left twitching. Du Xiaofu was not stupid. Master Hua Lei seemed to want to take his thunder martial vein and spirit lightning. How could Du Xiaofu be willing to let that happen? It was better to leave as soon as possible. Du Xiaofu wasn't worried about stopping the calamity. When the calamity came, no one would be able to escape. Plus, the Demon King seemed to have remembered Firebolt Seed. When the time came, Firebolt Seed wouldn't be able to escape. Do you know the relationship between lightning veins and spirit thunder? Do you know how many spirit thunders there are in this world? A calm voice entered Du Xiaofu's ears. When this voice entered his ears, Du Xiaofu instinctively stopped. The voice behind him continued. You have a total of 5 types of spiritual lightning in your body. The silver sieve soul-devouring lightning, the earth-shattering lightning, the golden crow sky-burning lightning, the soul-extinguishing lightning, the great In Sky Thunder, and the 3,000 quaking lightning that you have yet to fuse. Du Xiaofu turned around and looked at Master Hualei in astonishment. His heart trembled. If Master Hualei knew about the spirit thunder in his body, Du Xiaofu wouldn't have found it strange. However, Master Hualei even knew about the types of spirit thunder in his body. He even knew that his master's 3,000 quaking lightning had yet to fuse. How could Du Xiaofu not be shocked? Looking at Du Xiaofu's astonished expression, Master Hualei smiled. He glanced at Du Xiaofu and said, There are a total of 36 types of spirit thunder in this world. You already have 6. That's not bad. What is the relationship between spirit thunder and the thunder martial vein? Du Xiaofu looked at Master Hualei and asked. If he didn't have the thunder martial vein, it would be impossible for him to fuse 5 types of spirit thunder in his body. At this moment, Du Xiaofu wanted to know the answer. The relationship between spirit thunder and the thunder martial vein can be said to be complicated, but it can also be said to be simple. I think that after so many years, the number of people in the outside world who know about this is definitely not more than 10. Master Hualei smiled at Du Xiaofu and continued, Do you want to know the origin of the thunder martial vein? Do you want to know where the remaining spirit thunder is? Do you want to know how to obtain the remaining spirit thunder? Yes. Du Xiaofu hesitated for a moment, then nodded. The thunder martial vein had appeared in the Du family. Du Xiaofu knew that this martial vein was definitely not inferior to any of the 9 great families' martial veins. In fact, it was not inferior to any of the martial veins in the world. However, why hadn't the thunder martial vein awakened in the Du family? What was the origin of the thunder martial vein? Du Xiaofu couldn't help but want to know the answer. As for the whereabouts of the remaining spirit thunder, Du Xiaofu definitely wanted to know as well. Du Xiaofu still remembered that his master, the revered artifact, had mentioned to him that the immeasurable sect and the sky snake Munchu each had an expert with a spirit thunder. There was also Moksha and Jialo Juexiao who had a type of spirit thunder. If there were a total of 36 types of spirit thunder in the world, then there were more than 20 types of spirit thunder left. This was an irresistible temptation for Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu knew that after fusing 5 types of spirit thunder into one, every time he fused with one more type of spirit thunder, his cultivation and primordial spirit would receive great benefits. Even his thunder martial vein would evolve and strengthen. Since you want it, then it's very simple. It's still the same deal. The thunder martial vein and spirit thunder in your body can help me recover at the fastest speed. I need to stay with you for a while. Master Hualei smiled with a face full of confidence. He said, After I recover, I will naturally tell you the whereabouts of all the spirit thunder and even help you fuse with them. Ha ha, Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and said to Master Hualei, I help you recover, and you help me find spirit thunder. Do you think I'm stupid? You want to stay with me for a while. How can I believe you? Du Xiaofu didn't believe Master Hualei's words at all. If he allowed Master Hualei to enter his body, then he wouldn't be able to control what would happen. Even if he was fine and could help the Flames Park Master recover, it was still unknown whether the Flames Park Master would fulfill his promise with its terrifying cultivation and strength after it recovered. That was why Du Xiaofu didn't believe the fire lightning seed in front of him. Even if the fire lightning seed had an irresistible temptation, Du Xiaofu didn't want to take this risk. Master Hualei originally thought that victory was in his hands. If this kid wanted to know about the thunder martial vein and spirit thunder, then he would have to listen to him. He didn't think that the result would surprise him once again. His smile froze on his face, and the corner of his eyes fiercely twitched. Kid, let me tell you something. Without you, this saint can still recover. However, if this saint doesn't recover, then the demons will wreak havoc and the calamity will come again. No one in this world will be able to stop it. When this world turns into a demonic realm, I will naturally have a way to escape. The ones who will suffer will be the people of this world. It has nothing to do with me. Do you really think those demons can do anything to me? What a joke. Master Hualei stared at Du Xiaofu and said angrily, in this world, aside from this saint, I'm afraid no one can find all the spirit thunder. In the heavenly devil battlefield, there are even more devil emperors' primordial spirits. When those devil emperors recover, you have the thunder martial vein and a divine thunder cauldron. At that time, I'm afraid they won't let you go. I want to see who will be the unlucky one. Chapter 2018. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. What Master Hualei said made sense. Once those demon emperors recovered, the first one they would come for would be him. Du Xiaofu knew how strong those demon emperors were. Most importantly, Du Xiaofu wasn't worried about himself, but that his master was still in the hands of the devil religion. His master's whereabouts were still unknown. However, from the 3,000 thunder spirit seed in his mind, Du Xiaofu felt that his master's life wasn't in danger. However, once those demon emperors recovered, the chances of them saving his master would be as high as the heavens. After a while, Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes and asked Master Hualei, Senior, if you want to enter my body, you need the help of my thunder spirit vein and spirit thunder. How can I trust you? After all, one must always be on guard. If I wanted to kill you, I would have done it long ago. Why would I wait until now? Master Hualei said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu pondered. After a few breaths, he looked at Master Hualei and said seriously, I can do this deal, but Senior has to promise me 3 things. Otherwise, we'll just go our separate ways. Speak. Master Hualei stared at Du Xiaofu. He felt very wronged. First, after Senior recovers, you have to fulfill your promise and help me find the whereabouts of the other spirit thunder. You even have to help me merge with those spirit thunders. Du Xiaofu said. The temptation of spirit thunder was hard for Du Xiaofu to refuse. It was also a shortcut to increasing his strength. Of course, this saint will keep his promise. Master Hualei didn't hesitate and nodded to Du Xiaofu. This was what he had agreed to. Second, after Senior recovers, you have to help me do 2 things. I believe these 2 things won't be too difficult for Senior, Du Xiaofu said. Master Hualei stared at Du Xiaofu. This kid was clearly trying to take advantage of the situation. He, Master Hualei, was being threatened by a junior. If word of this got out, he wouldn't have any face left. The corner of Master Hualei's eyes twitched. He was very depressed, but he still endured it. Right now, he had a favor to ask. Who asked this brat to have the thunder martial vein? There were also a few spiritual thunders that he needed to recover. All right, I agree. But let me warn you, kid. When the time comes, if I can do it, I will do it for you. If you dare to make things difficult for me, don't blame me for being impolite. Master Hualei glared at Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu continued, Third, Senior, swear to the heavens that once you enter my body, you will not do anything to harm me. If you go against your oath, you will be struck by lightning. You will not be able to escape the heavenly tribulation. The longer a living being cultivated, the deeper their understanding of the heavenly Tao, and the more they respected the heavenly Tao. Most people wouldn't dare to go against an oath to the heavenly Tao. The risk of being struck by a heavenly tribulation was no joke. Brat, are you threatening me? Master Hualei finally couldn't take it anymore. Even in the ancient times, when hundreds of schools were fighting, no one dared to disrespect him. However, this brat didn't put him in his eyes at all. I don't dare, but this is a trade. A trade must be fair, just, and there must be guarantees for both parties. I can trust that Senior will fulfill your promise after you recover, but shouldn't Senior also guarantee my safety and make me trust you? If Senior can't make the oath, then let's go our separate ways. Du Xiaofu looked at Master Hualei with a firm gaze. Under the premise of everything, Du Xiaofu hoped that he could protect himself first. Otherwise, everything would be empty talk. What Master Hualei said was true. If he had any bad intentions, Du Xiaofu could have done it already. However, Du Xiaofu didn't completely believe him. One must always be on guard against others. Even his own uncle wanted to dig out his heart, let alone someone he had just met. Good. There will be a time when you beg me in the future. Master Hualei's face turned red from anger. After saying good twice, he stared at Du Xiaofu and said, I, Master Hualei, swear that I have no ill intentions towards this brat. Otherwise, I will be struck by heavenly tribulation and be struck by heavenly thunder. Du Xiaofu smiled. He looked at Master Hualei with an embarrassed smile and said, Senior is too polite. This brat just wants to have some guarantees. Please forgive me. Master Hualei snorted and stared at Du Xiaofu. I will enter your brain. Don't try to stop me, or else you will have to bear the consequences. Chi. As soon as he finished speaking, Master Hualei's figure disappeared. At the same time, the crystal-clear red and blue flame fluctuated and turned into a red and blue arc of lightning. It directly flew towards Du Xiaofu's forehead. Like water falling into mud, it disappeared from Du Xiaofu's forehead. Du Xiaofu didn't try to stop it, but he was instinctively on guard. He allowed the red and blue flame to enter his brain and enter his brain. So hot. When the red and blue flame rushed into his brain, it was accompanied by a terrifying heat that spread throughout Du Xiaofu's brain. The scorching aura caused Du Xiaofu's soul to tremble on the 9 revolutions divine thunder lotus. Immediately, silver-gold arcs of lightning appeared along with starlight. Chi! The crimson-blue flame surged into Du Xiaofu's Naiwen palace, like a crystal-clear crimson-blue jade. Is this a primordial spirit or a pulse spirit? Master Hualei's illusory figure appeared on the red and blue flame once again. He looked at Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit's red horse monkey body with a surprised expression. He had already seen Du Xiaofu's red horse monkey body, but this was the first time he felt something strange about it. However, Master Hualei was only surprised for a moment before returning to normal. He had traveled through the ancient times and had seen too many primordial geniuses and supreme geniuses. Any one of them was extraordinary. All right, kid. I need the power of your spiritual thunder and thunder martial vein to recover. Don't be nervous. I know what to do. As soon as he finished speaking, Master Hualei's illusory figure quietly disappeared. Walala! At this moment, a red and blue flame rose from Du Xiaofu's body. It was accompanied by an arc of lightning that spread throughout his body. When the flame and arc of lightning appeared, the thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body immediately surged. It was unable to resist the invisible force. A wave of killing intent surged, and thunder rumbled. At the same time, the red and blue flame in Du Xiaofu's Naiwen palace also spread. Strands of red and blue flame fluctuated towards the red horse monkey's body and attracted the spiritual thunder for no reason. Boom! Inside the Naiwen palace, there was an arc of lightning. On Du Xiaofu's body, the purple talisman runes shone brightly. The thunder martial vein was activated, causing lightning to flash and thunder to rumble in the cave. Under such a change, Du Xiaofu immediately felt that the thunder martial vein in his body and the spiritual thunder in the red horse monkey's body in his Naiwen palace were being devoured. Chapter 2019. Even the Xin Qi in Du Xiaofu's spirit gate was strangely disappearing. Along with the power of the thunder martial vein and spirit lightning, the Xin Qi continuously surged into the scarlet blue flames. The devouring power was formless and enormous, making it impossible for Du Xiaofu to resist. At this moment, even the thunder martial vein and spirit lightning in his body were no longer under Du Xiaofu's control. Not good. Du Xiaofu broke out in a cold sweat. Under the influence of the scarlet blue flames, The thunder, martial vein, and spirit lightning were no longer under his control. Energy continuously surged into the scarlet blue flames, and a large amount of the Xin Qi in the spirit gate was also disappearing. Du Xiaofu wanted to stop it, but he didn't know where to start. The scarlet blue flames seemed to have merged with the thunder, martial vein, and spirit lightning. "Senior, what are you trying to do?" Du Xiaofu was shocked, and his mind asked in his Naiwen palace, "Don't worry, it won't take your life. It's just that this saint is extremely weak and needs some energy. I didn't think that your primordial spirit and Xin Qi would be so large. It's really inconceivable." Master Hualei's voice came from the mysterious scarlet blue flames. "No, it's not good for me if you continue to devour like this. If you continue, we'll immediately cancel this deal." Du Xiaofu refused without hesitation. The energy in the spirit lightning and thunder martial vein was quickly disappearing. What made Du Xiaofu feel the most was the Xin Qi in the spirit gate. At this moment, it was like a torrential flood that was quickly disappearing. This speed was too fast, so fast that it made Du Xiaofu uneasy. This was the heavenly devil battlefield. If he was extremely weak, he wouldn't even have the ability to protect himself. If that was the case, Du Xiaofu didn't want to make this deal. "Brat, it's not up to you now," Master Hualei said. Master Hualei opened his mouth. The red and blue flames around him completely ignored Du Xiaofu. He was sullen at the start, and now he had a belly full of anger. Now that this brat had no choice, he could use this chance to teach him a lesson. As soon as Master Hualei finished speaking, Du Xiaofu clearly felt the devouring power increase instead of decreasing. The energy in the thunder martial vein and spirit thunder, as well as the profound qi in the God's watchtower, were all disappearing even faster. "Fire lightning seed, our deal is cancelled. Cancel it immediately," Du Xiaofu shouted. "It's not up to you to decide." Master Hualei didn't plan on paying attention to Du Xiaofu at all. If it wasn't for the fact that he was extremely weak and was afraid of the godly thunder cauldron, he would have killed this brat a long time ago. At this moment, he didn't want to pay attention to this brat at all. "Fire lightning, you old bastard." Du Xiaofu cursed. As expected, he had been tricked. He used all of his strength to activate the thunder martial vein and primordial spirit. He wanted to break free from the invisible devouring power and expel the mysterious red and blue flames from his Naiwen palace. "Bastard brat, it seems like if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know that I'm your ancestor," Master Hualei said angrily. The mysterious red and blue flames flickered, and the invisible devouring power increased once again. "Master Hualei, you old bastard, you still want to pretend to be my ancestor? I'm not done with you," Du Xiaofu cursed. However, no matter how hard he tried, even if he used the golden-winged rock clan's cultivation technique, it was useless. He couldn't break free from Master Hualei's invisible devouring power. The profound qi, thunder martial vein, and spirit thunder in his primordial spirit were getting weaker and weaker. The thunder martial vein and spirit thunder seemed to have no effect on the mysterious red and blue flames. They even seemed to want to merge into one. This made Du Xiaofu even more worried and vigilant. "Brat, give up. You can't stop me." Master Hualei's voice echoed in Du Xiaofu's Naiwen palace. At this moment, he had already entered the brat's Naiwen palace. Everything was under his control. "Old bastard, do you really think that I can't do anything to you?" Du Xiaofu shouted. In his palm, a purple and gold streamer jumped out. The purple thunder profound cauldron immediately flew out. Although it couldn't resist the invisible devouring power, the purple thunder profound cauldron could still be activated. "Brat, what do you want to do?" Master Hualei felt the purple thunder profound cauldron's aura and was astonished. "You'll know soon," Du Xiaofu shouted. With a thought, the purple thunder profound cauldron suddenly expanded and rotated. Du Xiaofu's figure directly flew into the purple thunder profound cauldron. Rumble. When Du Xiaofu's figure appeared again, he was already in the space inside the purple thunder profound cauldron. Purple thunder clouds rolled and thunder rumbled. Electric arcs flashed. Then, amidst the rumbling of thunder, the electric arcs condensed into thunderbolts and fell like a rainstorm. Du Xiaofu did not use the immortal Xin body, and allowed the purple thunder profound cauldron to hit his body. Zalala. As the thunderbolts fell, Du Xiaofu's body overflowed with electric arcs and merged with the thunder martial vein. However, most of the thunderbolts were destructive and damaged his body. Du Xiaofu's body had already attained the immortal Xin body. Although he didn't resist, his body had already developed an immunity against the purple thunder profound cauldron. He was only damaged by the purple thunder profound cauldron. However, there was a limit to this kind of damage. The endless purple gold profound thunder bombarded Du Xiaofu's body like a giant snake, bringing with it a destructive power. Not long after, Du Xiaofu's body began to be seriously damaged and ruptured. Although Du Xiaofu had experienced such an impact once, he still couldn't bear it and shouted out loud. The pain was unbearable. Bang bang. Thunder rumbled and Du Xiaofu cried out in pain. His body was constantly cracking and gradually becoming a bloody mess under the thunderbolts. Brat, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill yourself? Master Huolei was shocked. Everything outside naturally couldn't escape his prying eyes. This brat actually put himself inside the divine thunder cauldron and attacked him. Was he looking for death? If this brat really died, then he would be in big trouble inside the divine thunder cauldron. Although this was only one of the 9 divine thunder cauldrons, his current situation was really troublesome. I'm not sure if I'll die or not, but I'd like to see how long you can hide. Du Xiaofu shouted coldly. The purple gold profound cauldron continued to explode. His body was already badly mutilated and wrapped in purple electric arcs. The purple gold heavenly palace, illusion saber formation, ancient desolate space, and 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian were also exposed outside. Brat bastard, you better stop right now. Master Huolei cursed. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was badly mutilated, and he couldn't escape. The terrifying purple gold profound cauldron also affected him greatly. Master Huolei, if you don't want to come out, then let's continue. Du Xiaofu cursed. His voice came from his primordial spirit. Although he was in a terrible state and the pain was unbearable, at least Master Huolei was greatly affected. At least, the devouring power in his body had disappeared. The end of the heavenly devil battlefield has caused me to be stuck for 2 days. Today, there is only one update. Please forgive me. Chapter 2020. Du Xiaofu guessed that Master Huolei was indeed afraid of the godly thunder cauldron. Kid, you better stop. Do you think you can defeat me like this? Haha, you underestimate me too much. Master Huolei suddenly laughed. The thunder martial vein and spiritual thunder were too useful to him. He didn't believe that this kid would really commit suicide. There must be something strange about him that made him not afraid of the godly thunder cauldron. He just wanted to force him out. Chi La. As soon as he finished speaking, the cluster of red and blue flames suddenly turned into countless red and blue sparks that bloomed like fireworks. In an extremely strange way, they directly merged with the spiritual thunder in Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit and disappeared. The purple gold profound thunder roared and crackled. Bolts of purple gold profound thunder landed on Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit, but they couldn't affect the red and blue flames at all. Du Xiaofu wanted to expel the red and blue flames from his primordial spirit, but there was nothing he could do. Give up. Be honest and don't suffer too much. Master Huolei's voice came from Du Xiaofu's spiritual thunder in his primordial spirit. Victory was in his hands, and he had already entered this kid's spiritual thunder. How could this kid not be obedient? Du Xiaofu was helpless and could only give up. He calmed the purple thunder cauldron with his mind. His mangled body was then covered in a purple and gold light, and in a strange way, it directly recovered. He was naked, and his body was covered in a purple and gold color. His face was pale. So strange. Master Huolei was shocked. Du Xiaofu's recovery couldn't escape his eyes. This was too strange. His body was damaged to such an extent, but at this moment, it was as if there was no damage at all. Standing in the purple thunder cauldron, Du Xiaofu's eyes were serious. He had used all his methods, but there was nothing he could do. Brat, now you'll be honest. You can't beat this saint. Master Huolei laughed. The red and blue sparks in Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit condensed into a red and blue flame. It was about to step out of Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit and continue to devour Du Xiaofu's spirit thunder and thunder martial vein. Du Xiaofu didn't say anything. Suddenly, he sat down cross-legged within the purple-gold profound bomb, formed a seal with his hands, and muttered something. The Tao of heaven and earth uses yin and yang to create all things. Heaven and earth, sun and moon, thunder and lightning, wind and rain. 4 seasons, male and female, hard and soft, movement and stillness. All things are divided into yin and yang. As Du Xiaofu muttered something, a dazzling ray of light burst out from within his soul. The mysterious runes of talismans gushed out like a tide, dazzling and dazzling like the sun. The dazzling light that spread out instantly wrapped around the red and blue flame that was about to step out of Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. A strange force immediately separated the red and blue flame from the primordial spirit. This strange change caused Master Hualei to let out a surprised exclamation. He was very surprised. As Master Hualei paused for a short moment, the dazzling mysterious runes shone like a divine light. The mysterious runes flashed and turned into a series of unfamiliar characters. It was like a net of light that enveloped the red and blue flame. The unfamiliar characters were like ancient runes that bloomed like fireworks and wrapped around the red and blue flame. The heavens and earth see people as mayflies, and the heavens and earth see the heavens and earth as bubbles. Only the true nature of the primordial spirit surpasses the essence of the primordial spirit. The essence of the primordial spirit dissipates along with the heavens and earth. However, as long as the primordial spirit exists, it is limitless. It is born from the heavens and earth. This voice was like the sound of the heavens as it echoed around the red and blue flame. There was a large amount of energy from the heavens and earth that contained an ancient pressure. It also contained a terrifying devouring force that devoured the red and blue flame. This devouring force wasn't too fierce, but it was vast and powerful. It was as if it was a natural counter to the red and blue flame. "Brat, what are you doing?" Master Hualei's voice changed. For the first time, he was shocked. This pressure made him feel uneasy for no reason. He couldn't break free from the mysterious net of light, as if he was being restrained for no reason. Du Xiaofu ignored Master Hualei and sat down like an old monk inside the purple thunder Xian furnace. He continued to mutter, "If you want to see the primordial spirit, you must first see the light of the primordial spirit. This light is the light of the true primordial spirit. Without light, it is difficult to find the true primordial spirit." At this moment, Du Xiaofu activated the mysterious incomplete cultivation method in his mind. When he was refining the thunder inside his body, he had the help of the mysterious incomplete cultivation method. At this moment, Du Xiaofu thought of the mysterious incomplete cultivation method. He didn't think it would actually be effective. With the activation of this mysterious cultivation method, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel that the scarlet blue flame was being directly restrained in his Yuan spirit. There was even a huge devouring power contained in the crude runes that wanted to devour and refine the scarlet blue flame. Du Xiaofu rejoiced in his heart as the mysterious incomplete cultivation method worked. However, his speed was already very slow. It was just enough for Du Xiaofu to endure. Du Xiaofu took out a lot of precious medicines from his cosmos bag and stuffed them into his mouth. He used the golden-winged rock clans technique to refine and replenish his energy. Du Xiaofu was already severely injured before he fainted. The torment from before and Hualei was devouring made him extremely weak. How strange. You are clearly a human, but you can cultivate the golden-winged rock clans technique. Your body seems to be even stronger than a real golden-winged rock. Unbelievable. Hualei's voice came out from Du Xiaofu's Naiwan palace. Back then, those supreme geniuses from the ancient era were all stronger and stranger than the last. However, he wasn't as shocked as he was now. Du Xiaofu ignored Hualei and sat down cross-legged to refine the precious medicines in his body. The vast plain was boundless. The sky was dark, and it was shrouded in an oppressive aura. On the plain, there was a huge mountain that stood tall like a giant tomb. It was grand and magnificent, like a hibernating giant beast. Looking at it from afar, It made people's hearts feel oppressed. Rumble. Suddenly, cracks spread out from the edges of the giant tomb. Light overflowed and rushed into the sky, causing the ground to tremble. The seal is finally about to open. The inheritance treasure is about to appear. Countless living beings in the surroundings immediately became excited and trembled because of this. This was a secret place in the heavenly devil battlefield. They had come here for the ancient and dazzling treasures. At this moment, the secret place was finally about to open. In an instant, the surroundings of the giant mountain became noisy. None of the creatures could sit still. Their eyes shone brightly as they held ice blades in their hands. Their auras were surging. They were ready to charge at the strongest at any time to fight for the ancient and dazzling inheritance and treasure. Many experts began to appear, their auras vigorous. Many elders of the major forces flew into the sky, waiting for the best opportunity. Many beast race magnates were entrenched in the void. On a huge rock, a golden-clothed man whose facial features were as handsome as if they were carved by a knife was looking in the direction of the huge mountain. The corners of his lips, which always carried a hint of a wanton smile, were slightly frowning at this moment. His pair of bright golden eyes were slightly focused. Beside the young man in golden clothes, a woman stood. She was wearing a bright red silk dress that trailed on the ground. Her beautiful black hair was tied up with a few bright red hair ribbons. Her figure was beautiful. She looked at the giant mountain in front of her and said softly to the young man in golden clothes, "Something seems wrong. Phantom, be careful. There's demonic aura." The man in golden clothes said. His long golden hair draped over his shoulders. His body was thin and tall, and his skin was crystal clear. It seemed to be emitting a faint golden luster. His whole body was emitting a majestic aura. Could it be that you, Du Xiaoyao, can't see what's inside? The woman smiled slightly. Her smile was as elegant and clear as a budding lotus, but there was a hint of charm in it. She said to the man in golden clothes, "I can't see through it. It's very strange." The man in golden clothes shook his head. His golden eyes were deep and emitted a faint golden light. However, he couldn't see through the giant mountain in front of him. Rumble. The cracks in the ground around the giant mountain continued to expand, and the light became more and more dazzling. Rumbling sounds continued to be heard, as if some supreme being was awakening, causing heaven and earth to resonate. "Are you still trying to trap me?" Suddenly, a thunderous voice sounded from within the giant mountain. Along with the sound waves, demonic aura surged into the sky. Suppress. Inside the giant mountain, light filled the sky. An ancient voice sounded, and a supreme power seemed to have transcended time and space to descend. "Fire Demon Envoy, Ice Demon Envoy, I've come to lend the 8-Demon Emperor a hand." Monstrous demonic aura descended, seeping out from the void. Two figures tore through space and arrived. A scorching hot aura and a chilling cold aura descended from the void at the same time.